Come to Sam Ash for hundreds of exclusive holiday deals on music and sound gear from the most iconic brands. Save big on professional and starter guitars, drums, digital pianos, horns, violins, DJ, and electronic production equipment. Supercharge your home studio with deals on podcasting, streaming, and AV equipment like speakers, microphones, headphones, and acoustic treatment. Plus, with 36 months no-interest financing on thousands of items, you can get the gear of your dreams right now. From our incredible selection and service to our lowest price guarantee for over 95 years, real musicians know you only go to Sam Ash.
At Life's a Beach Realty, we're all about life on the beach. Stunning Panama City Beach and one of the most beautiful properties on the Gulf Coast, Shores of Panama. Radiant, elegant, and spectacular. Steps away from white sugar sand, every room overlooks the turquoise of the Gulf of Mexico. Come in for your tour today. Life's a Beach Realty is your gateway to Shores of Panama, the shores, and a whole lot more.
Bruce Arians here with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. During these difficult times, it's important that we all show we care about our community's health. You could spread COVID-19 without knowing it. Wear a mask, wash your hands, keep your distance from each other, stay strong, and go Bucs.
Realizing my potential has been what my career has been all about. Things that I've dreamed about have actually come true.
And the Patriots have won Super Bowl 36. Unbelievable.
Things have happened in my life as I kind of hoped they would happen. It's been, just a complete evolution. You know, how I just kept kind of fighting and clawing to continue to power forward. You just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you keep trying to make progress. So when I look at over 20 years, I look how far I've come. But there's not one step that I took where I realized, look how far I've come. But those series of steps that I put together, I go, wow, that's quite a journey.
You're now in the Sports Web, a sports talk show for the hardcore fan. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Welcome to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television here nightly on Bucs Report. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, now a part of the Landry Football Network. Of course, join the 65,000 following we have here on Facebook, of course, live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and of course, Chris Landry Football on Twitch. And as we always start off the Sports Web, because again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have former scout Mr. Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com. We'll have one of our newest writers here, Mr. Joshua Cole Allen, on at 9:40. We'll see how that goes, because if the calls are coming and questions are coming for Chris, then we may have Joshua on a little bit later. We'll have Mr. Nick Citra on. We'll have Alex Fleming. We'll probably have Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. And, of course, we'll have your phone calls. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the evolution of sports talk television. Is it a TV show? Is it a radio show? It's both. It's here nightly on Bucs Report. So without further ado, let's get out to him. Let's go out to Mr. Chris Landry, former scout for the, of course, Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, worked with Bill Belichick, put together scouting combines, and now runs the Landry Football Network here on Twitch. Welcome to the Evolution, my friend. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Good to be with you. You're off to a rousing start. Your energy is infectious and love what you're doing. We're so thrilled to have you and excited to be joining the great fans of Tampa and the surrounding around the country following you.
Absolutely. You got the web heads out there. You got the 65,000 following. And I tell you right now, if you didn't get excited about Patrick Mahomes' contract, because Mahomes definitely – I would like to be him for at least 1 year. $503 million, a 10-year deal. It's actually equaled out to 12 because they picked up his 2 years. I mean, what do you think of this? And this was the right thing to do by the Chiefs. They had to get him done, right?
They did, and it's a unique circumstance because you're talking about an extremely young quarterback that has already proven to be not only the face of their franchise, but kind of the face of the league. I mean, we can talk about the Breezes and the Bradys of the world, but they're clearly towards the end of their career. We're talking about a guy that, whether he finishes with this contract or not, as the contract would end, he'd be 37. I mean, it's like Tom Brady says, "Oh man, that's nothing," you know. So
yeah,
look, he's a great talent, you know, leading the team to the Super Bowl. What's I think going to be interesting is how long is Andy Reid going to be there with him? That's going to be real interesting. But unique circumstances, the only way you can do a deal like this and put that type of cash outlay is to make it a long-term deal. You lock him in long-term. You have no doubts about what he is, or, you know, you don't know what he's going to be in health and change of the team and all the staff. All those things could derail a career or make it less productive. But there's no question. There's not like we need to see more. Is this guy really good? That's all figured out. So it's quite a bit different than, say, a Dak Prescott, where Dallas probably should have got a deal done with Dak earlier, but they also were not just knocked over the head that this guy is just the greatest thing ever, like Patrick Mahomes has. So it's an easy decision when you look at it. There are a lot of incentives that need to be met for him to get a lot of the money that's been talked about. And I'm curious to see when the contract officially comes in through the league, and I'm able to look at the paragraph 5, because a lot of the monies that are talked about, yeah, they're guaranteed based upon certain conditions, which for him, making the roster for the next year, all that stuff is, but beyond that, we don't know what the future is going to be. So it's not like, as you know, a baseball contract or basketball contract where that contract is fully guaranteed, because it's not. Safe to say, he is a wealthy guy. I think most people around the league have said, you know what, probably could have gotten more. You know, when you look at it over time, it's going to end up being a pretty good deal for the Chiefs when you consider it, because it's friendly enough to where they should be able to go and build a team around him. That's the big issue that you have when you start, particularly when a guy gets older. And, you know, Drew Brees is an example. Well, that's a large cap outlay, because you can't extend it for 5 years on a guy that age. This guy, you can put it out 10 years. It solves a lot of problems, and it eliminates one. That is, who's going to be, you know, your quarterback of the future. And if something were to happen, obviously, God forbid, it's not something that's going to cripple them down the road because of how the contract's structured. So, look, it's a eye-opening deal. Well deserved. I mean, you know, he's a young, great talent.
Yeah.
We can all debate what guys are worth in the market. I knew that he was going to break that bank, and where it was going to be huge. I just didn't know how long. This makes some sense when you think about it for how they've locked this guy up. So, and he was willing to do that. That says an awful lot about the relationship that they have.
Yeah, and look, they have Andy Reid. He's already won the Super Bowl. They won a Super Bowl. He's the youngest Super Bowl MVP. He's won already an NFL MVP. He's talked about a dynasty. The way the Chiefs are constructed, take me behind the curtain as a scout here. Do you feel like they have the opportunity in the next, 5 to 10 years to really be that true dynasty, much like the New England Patriots were in the decade of 2000?
Well, I think right now they do. They've got to get Chris Jones signed. Maybe they're able to get that done now because he's been at the franchise tag. So we're up towards as we speak, what is today? Is today the 8th or 9th? The 15th is the deadline. So we're down to days on that, whether they can try to get a long-term deal or risk losing him. But guys like him are really important. I think that one of the real keys to that team last year was how the defense kind of created its own identity when Patrick went down with an injury. A lot of what they do offensively is play extensions and getting the ball in the hands of a lot of weapons. So to your question, can they do it? Well, yes, they can, but it's going to require them. They're not going to be able to keep all those great weapons. Some are going to go. Can they replace them? So McCole Hardman comes in and, they end up obviously going with Tyreek and McCole Hardman. When they drafted him, I thought it was because Tyreek was going to be gone with the off-the-field issues. So now they've got, a lot of weapons there, but they're going to lose some of them. So can they address them? It's the same thing. They put a lot of money into a contract for a quarterback. It's a little bit of a challenge. We saw that with Seattle to some degree. Look at how great of a team they had around Russell Wilson when he was on a rookie contract. Lose all those guys when he gets his big contract because of money. And then if you don't draft as well, meaning if you don't hit guys that become the impact guys in your secondary and your front, then all of a sudden you're not as good. In short, I think the Chiefs got, the foundation with a great quarterback, and we'll see what they can do filling those pieces because a lot of those pieces are not going to be around for an extended period.
Chris, how did so many scouts miss on a quarterback like Mahomes? Because we were talking about it the last couple of days. Bears fans are calling in. They're saying we should have drafted him. They drafted Mitchell Trubisky. You hear Ryan Pace was, basically in love with the guy because he felt like the guy could take his daughter out, but didn't have that many starts in college. How do you miss on a guy like Mahomes, and how do you miss on a guy like Deshaun Watson, who clearly showed in big-time level of competition in the ACC that he could take on Alabama and beat them? How do so many scouts miss on these guys and get a player like a Trubisky?
Well, I think that every situation is unique. But in the case of Mahomes, you're talking about a guy that was really raw and still is raw.
Mm-hmm.
Just uber talented, no doubt. You put him with Andy Reid, you put him with all those weapons. There's no question. We just talked about his worth as a player. The Saints supposedly had a lot of interest in him, and Chiefs move ahead of him. I mean, who knows what would have happened? Rewrite history is always fun. But the reality is not many people, including the people that are criticizing it, not many people said, oh, we passed on Patrick Mahomes. Now the Bears fans are saying, all the Bears fans, oh, yeah, Trubisky. It's the answer is, a lot of it is how you develop and raise a guy in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Mahomes, what I saw of him, just incredibly physically gifted. Movement skills, the ability to throw off of different platforms, but raw as can be. Well, I want to give Andy Reid some credit for embracing what he has and putting surrounding talent around him, not just the speed weapons, but the offensive line. And creating some of the elements of what he does well, the improvisational game, that, a lot of what he does, you just can't really coach. So I think that combination has worked very well. Maybe in another situation, he would be productive, but, people would be saying, well, how good is he? I mean, people know Deshaun Watson's really good. I think people missed on him. I think the Browns missed on him. I mean, a lot of people missed on him. I think misevaluations at the quarterback position have happened for a long time. I think what does happen is for every one of these guys, you have the guys, the Jake Lockers, and, guys that don't pan out, the Blake Bortles, the Blaine Gabberts, and people just get, they're scared. Well, you can't be scared. You can't play this game scared. You can't scout it scared. You can't coach it scared. I think if you believe in a guy, I believe in intangible qualities that are huge. And I think, I like Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I thought he'd be like the best player in the league this early. No way. I don't know anybody, not Andy Reid. No one did. So I think the answer to how do you miss it, it's going to happen all the time, because if you look at him coming in, we're not talking about a guy that was as polished. Now, is Joe Burrow going to be as good as a pro? I can tell you this, Joe Burrow last year had a better year by far than Patrick Mahomes ever had. Now, it's a different situation, different circumstances. So everything about scouting is how a guy projects, but part of projection is how you coach and raise them in the league. And I'm telling you, the chef, the groceries are important, but the chef's pretty important too. And I think that has a lot to do with it. You mentioned, and we all talk about Tom Brady, and that's another guy. And, how did everybody miss? Well, I can tell you this, the guy that really liked Tom Brady the most in New England was not Belichick, not anybody. It was a good friend of mine, and Bill told me this himself, is the late Dick Rabine.
Okay.
He was a quarterback coach. And he liked Tom. He said, I really think this guy can be outstanding. I think he can be a really good starter in the league, and he's got a chance to be good. Not, hey, this guy's going to be the greatest quarterback of all time in the Hall. No, just guys would be pretty good. Do you know what else he said? He said, Bill, I like Tom Brady, and I like Tim Rattay from Louisiana Tech. He says, I could live with either one. So there you go. Even them in the 6th round, either one, Rattay, Brady, Rattay. Anybody want to, define? Just goes to show you, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. And consequently, both of those quarterbacks played for the Bucs. Rattay at one time, and Brady this year were on with the great Chris Landry, former scout for the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, of course, worked with Bill Belichick. Gives you a little insight there that it wasn't just all Belichick. It was somebody else in that organization here on the Sports Web, the evolution of sports talk television. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. When you say raw, what does Mahomes have to work on? Goodness gracious. I mean, he's 24, 25 years old. What can make him better? I feel like we're kind of talking about Tom Brady, right? He wins that Super Bowl, and people say, well, it's kind of a fluke. He's a young kid. It's all system. And then he eventually gets better until that peak at 2007 when he throws for 50 touchdowns. What can make Pat Mahomes better?
Well, first of all, mechanically, there's some things in the pocket he can do better, but you don't really focus a lot on that because his ability to throw from different arm angles are incredible. What he can improve upon is what any young quarterback can improve upon. Seeing defenses, anticipating well. And what he does a lot of time is he just buys time with his feet, and then something breaks open. As he grows, he's going to become a little bit more adept at pre-snap recognition and post-snap recognition. And those are things that just come with time. It's natural. From his offense that he ran in college to the pro, this is probably more college offense style than most. So his adjustment and adaptability has been a little bit smoother than probably with most, systems he'd have gone to, which again is a credit to Andy being able to be flexible to do that. No one has embraced more the college elements, the program more than Andy has. Baltimore certainly done it as well with Lamar, but right. Just over time. So he can learn a little bit better how to anticipate and do things. But while he's learning those things, his physical skills, the ability to throw accurately on the move and do things that you can't teach, just creates opportunities. I mean, I think about, I was looking the other night again, the play prior to the half against Tennessee. Let's remind every folks that we're talking about all this. Houston Texans blew that game. Houston Texans had that game. So what if the Chiefs go out week 1? What is everybody saying? Everybody's saying, Mahomes a flash.
Right.
Andy Reid can't win.
Right.
Please, give me a break. Yeah, you're going to pay this guy that money? Really? That's what people are saying, right? Well, you know what? They came back. He made the plays. And Houston opened the door. You open it, you got to run through it right. They did it. But I even look at every game, the AFC Championship game I was looking at, It's right prior to the half. They're trying to come back on the Titans. And, quite frankly, he makes a misread. Mahomes does. He just pirouettes, runs. Remember, he runs on the sideline, and he gets a touch. That's just all athletic ability, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You imagine when he harnesses a little bit more, he sees a lot and becomes more adept at seeing things. He will be able to anticipate more and be more productive, which is really scary, where he's not as reliant upon it as much, because a lot of what you do as a quarterback, like a point guard, you're a distributor. But a lot of these guys, Deshaun is that way, Patrick's that way. They tend to, utilize their feet a lot, which is fine. But at times they like you to maybe not risk the run quite as much. And I think over time he'll do that.
Good stuff. Good stuff there, Chris. Let's go ahead and go around the league a little bit. The Ravens have come to a decision. They're going to basically let right now 14,000 fans into the stadium. Keep in mind, M&T Bank Stadium holds 71,000. Kansas City has come to a decision. Do you think that this could change, or are they going to go through with it? A lot of teams going to have 14,000, and is it really worth it with all the complications having to do with COVID-19?
Well, I think they think it's worth it because getting 14,000 people in is better than zero. I mean, it's not ideal. I mean, you want to have your 80, your 65, whatever you got.
Right.
But, that's not going to be realistic. So everybody's going to be trying to get as many games in and as many fans in. And look, it's going to be a loss. I think the real interesting thing is how they're going to deal with this on two levels. They're going to have to figure out the cap, Peter, because the salary cap is based on the total gross revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not going to apply next year, because the total gross revenue is going to be a precipitous drop to where everyone would be like completely over the cap by half. So no one could even operate. So what they're going to have to do is structure it where they prorate it over time to figure this out so that people can operate. And otherwise nobody would be able to sign anybody to, so it's just to say that's part of, it's actually, there's a disaster clause in there for something. I don't think anybody anticipated this, but that's big. And then trying to see how the NFLPA, I don't know that they're going to bite on, having players put aside certain amount of money to deal with the loss. And, I think those are the two things, how the players are going to deal with their financial loss in this pandemic. Those are two things that are going to be real interesting. But we're in for, as we've said, a unique season, and with having some fans is made at some point more than I thought we would have. And the fact that we're talking about it and no one has said, yeah, we don't think we're going to play. It looks, nothing's definite, but it looks like, obviously the plans are we're going to be able to get it in, but stay tuned.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned. And this kind of follows the comments from Ali Marpet, offensive lineman of the Bucs yesterday, who is an NFL Player Association representative. For any reason, if NFL Player Association leadership felt we had taken an undue risk, I don't think the NFL Players Association would recommend coming back. Then this is from Sam Alcho of Sirius XM Radio. This is very interesting because you look around the other sports leagues and the NHL and Major League Baseball especially, and the NBA with players opting out. He had to say the league currently opposes opts out of any kind. The league is very hesitant to have any player opt out. Their position is if the player doesn't want to go to training camp, well, that's their decision. Obviously, fines could take place, and you could have a year, you could have your starting spot. All those things could take place. So can the NFL really expect no opt-outs? I get it. The NFL Players Association is looking at this, and I feel like fans want to see every player there, but could they really find somebody for, having some type of, some thinking ability that they don't want to get into an unsafe environment or unsafe situation?
Well, it's a good question for the legal team to figure out. I think they can. the PR may be bad, particularly if you can imagine a player that says, I just I've got someone at home. I can't, my wife, I can't risk it. I think that's an issue. The difference is obviously you're not dealing with guaranteed contracts.
Mhm.
You're not guaranteed your money unless you're on the opening day roster. You can exempt lists. You can do things that, I think what is going to be difficult for players is that if you're not going to get paid without a guaranteed contract, I think there may be a lot of guys that are not comfortable playing, but they're saying, I'm going to play. I'm not, I've got a limited lifespan doing this, and I can't walk away from that money. Some players have made a lot of money. I'm not saying there won't be some of them that won't do that. Most probably won't. It's going to be interesting, and I don't know how many are gonna do that, and I don't know what's going to happen. And it's going to be a bit of a mess, and it's going to be a PR mess, I think.
Yeah.
When and if it happens.
North Carolina has halted their football workouts. That'll be the Tar Heels in college football. Ivy League, Ohio State, they have suspended right now with all the COVID outbreaks. And then the NFL Players Association, NFL, came to an agreement today on how training camp and preseason, there's no word yet on if there's going to be 2 preseason games. The latest report was that there was going to be no preseason games. So by this report, there could be, and there's no buffets, mandatory mask for all members of the traveling party, and limitations on a traveling party. So there's a lot of confusing things to get into here. Want to go to Bruce Arians' comments, and of course we're on with great scout here for the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, worked with Bill Belichick for the Cleveland Browns, and of course now a part of the Landry Football Network, LandryFootball.com here on Twitch. Bruce Arians says, I got to be real careful. I'm probably double with the mask, face shield, because I've already had my scare in Arizona a couple years ago, of course, surviving cancer. And he goes on to say, the players, they're all going to get sick. That's for sure. It's just a matter of how sick they get. I mean, it seems like he's got a plan, but once again, these comments kind of ominous on the fact of he already expects players to get sick. He's talked about the protocols. He's also talked about his coaching staff following those protocols simply because if they do, the players will do the same.
Absolutely. You got to kind of lead from within. I think part of what they've done when they've welcomed the players back and got them in is they've basically trained them. Here's the new normal of how we need to do things. For example, simple things that you might not think out of, how many people can get in an elevator, blocking off the stairs where they only go one way so you don't have people, how many people can be in the weight room or the training room at the same time. All coaches, limiting who can be around the players. Trainers have to be around the players. Equipment guys need to be around the players. Coaches need to be around the players. But others that are non-essential, no, and separating that, organizing that, determining who can have access to the players. Media, all the media. I mean, the media is going to be pool report. I mean, it's not going to be the same. All of those things are going to be, important. And for Bruce and a lot of coaches, it's certainly got to be a scary thing. And the importance of players having to wear masks in the building, it's to protect the coaches as much as anything. And yet, Bruce is right. There's no scenario where you just say, oh, no more positive tests. It's not realistic.
No.
In fact, I saw something, you may have heard it too, that Notre Dame took 120 tests. They've got like 3 positive tests. And I'm thinking, are the tests working or something? Because that's not going to hold up. It's just not. It's just, so how do you deal with it? When player gets in quarantine, those are, you've got to be prepared to deal with it, because as much as you put them in a bubble, that bubble's not going to work. I think we're going to learn a little bit too about, what the NBA and baseball is trying to do, which is different, but probably more conducive to keep them in a bubble. That's going to maybe get a little bit of learning from that. But I would say that over the past couple of weeks, things have looked maybe a little bit worse in terms of the testing and just little things that we thought we going to be cleared from, and now it looks like maybe it's even more difficult. I don't know how things are going to play out there.
Let's talk about Bruce Arians and those comments. Something that kind of got my attention was his statements about his concern not only with his age, of course, because you're more susceptible to it, but also his concern with being in a dome. Consequently, the Bucs open up versus the Saints. Do you think there's a situation where instead of being on the sideline where he could be at risk with players, that maybe they would have a press box for him to sit in or some isolated area where he could coach? Or is there a possibility where he could just possibly miss the game? I know it sounds crazy, but once again, we're dealing in crazy times. I think those comments were kind of telling to me that he's very concerned about being or coaching in a dome.
It's going to be interesting, and I've thought a lot about the coaches and dealing with it. And I don't know why I didn't really pay a lot of attention. You think of domes being inside, but so big, but I don't know enough about it to where, if it can't escape, is it more likely to bounce and come? I don't, so that's one thing. No, I think it's something that you have to put it all on the table. I mean, is he isolated in a booth with, you go to the stores now, they got shields and, peg click to use something. I mean, I think all those things are potentially an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, it's been a while, but Sean Payton had COVID. Wonder, we know it's like you probably no more handshakes. Probably won't visit with the coaches. You're not going to be. Why? I think it's going to be unique. I think you had to look at all those things, and I think Bruce would probably say, "All right, now how do I want to coach? How do I want to deal with it? How do you can get your headset on as I'm wearing, so you have the mask. Is it muffled? Can they hear you? Trust me, been on the headset many times. It's hard sometimes to hear anyway. You put a mask on somebody, that's difficult. Does the shield work just as good? Do you put that with a shield over? I mean, there are a lot of things you got to work through from an equipment standpoint to figure this out. I'm assuming the officials are going to work with a shield of some sort, because no way those guys are running up and down the field with a mask and and again, it's got to be a shield. I mean, there are a lot of things that I think all those things from a coaching standpoint, from an officiating standpoint, they're probably going to have to look at, hey, what are the options and what can we do here to provide the safest environment possible.
Absolutely. We're on with the great Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com, of course, a part of the Landry Football Network, former scout for the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, and he worked with Bill Belichick. So if you have any questions at all, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Let's talk about some football. I know you're tired of the COVID stuff. I'm tired of the COVID stuff. I'm trying to be as optimistic as I can, but all these reports. But the Browns signed Jedarick Willis. Now, a lot of Bucs fans wanted him. How does he compare to a Tristan Wirfs? And do you think he comes in right away along with the Wirfs and starts for the Browns and can protect Baker Mayfield?
I think he can help early. I don't know about start. I think that he's got a good shot. I think he's got really good skill set. I like his footwork. I think he's really good technician. He plays with a good base. I like his short set. I like his long set. I think he's a pretty solid player, no doubt. It's an area that they've made a concerted effort in Cleveland to try to upgrade because that was a strength at one point, and they kind of lost a little ground there. So it's a solid addition there. I don't know that it has great impact, but I think it has some impact, no doubt.
Absolutely. And again, phone line is open if you want to call in. Sorry, didn't get the call. 727-255-0391, 727-255-0391. Also, Raheem Mostert, 952 rushing yards during the season, 10 touchdowns, really had a breakout campaign. Check out these numbers in the postseason, Chris. And these are Derrick Henry-like. 336 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, and now he has asked for a trade. According to his agent, Brent Tessler, went on Twitter, said months of unproductive talks with the 49ers. First, it started out with my previous relationship, months of unproductive talks. The 49ers about fairly adjusting the deal while his role changed. So basically, they're saying that they want to trade at this point. Should the 49ers cave and trade this guy, or should they hold on to him? Because he certainly looks like he fits into the system. And he came out of basically nowhere. He was a special team player, very productive. So could you see him being traded, or do you think the 49ers hold on to him? Because he's only against the cap here about 2.5.
Well, here's the way I always believe in, and I believe that certainly you understand in today's world, players, particularly running backs, but all players want to get a deal that's closer towards their value because the clock is always ticking on their career.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. I'm sympathetic to that, but I'm not letting a player through his agent, whether it's Rasheem Mostert or Jamal Adams, talk their way out. I think that sets a bad precedent. I think that I always try to communicate, and for all I know, maybe they have, maybe they haven't. You got an issue, Mr. Agent, to player, come see me. You go public, then it's going to become a situation where I'm not going to create an opportunity where any player that's not quite happy is going to want to restructure. I think in today's world, if you're going to ask players to restructure their deal to make cap room, you've got to be willing to restructure their deal, sometimes upward, to make things work. But when it starts to get into the public domain that tells me that they probably didn't get satisfaction behind closed doors and they're trying to, all right, I'm going to become a distraction, or it's become a problem and we're going to make it that until we get what we want. He's a good player. He doesn't have tremendous leverage, but he's got a little bit. I mean, for me, what I always tried to do when I liked a player and he was on a rookie contract, I would try to get that deal done sooner. I mean, we just talked about Mahomes. That's an exception, but that's where Dallas screwed up with Dak, and it's where a lot of teams screw up. You like a guy, you think he has value, go ahead and say, look, in the second year, we really like you. You can stay at that 2 years, see where it goes for you, or we can up that. But when we up that right now, we're going to give you more, but we need to get more years out of you. And so it's the player's option at that point. And by dealing with the player that way, you either know you've got them locked in longer, or if they don't want and they want to take the last year or two of their rookie deal, you kind of know at that point that it's going to be unlikely that you sign them. Not impossible, but unlikely. So you begin to search for the next guy. And that's kind of the process that I go with. But, some teams kind of get caught into situations and circumstances where, okay, the guy really plays well. They may want to see it another year. And if he does it another year, then it's good. But then it means you probably can't afford to keep him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a situation where he's very, very productive, but it could be the system. But you're exactly right. He's got a nice salary. So really, the 49ers don't have to do anything at that juncture. Going back to Willis, who do you think is more prepared to come in and start, and why? Is it Tristan Wirfs and Willis? Compare both of these prospects, because you're a part of this scouting community. What do you see with both of these players? What are the pros, cons, and the differences between both of those players?
I think Wirfs is. I think Wirfs is technically advanced. Footwork is outstanding. Hand usage, very good. The downside to Tristan, and my concern, is that he doesn't have a lot of length, which he has to overcome with better footwork and better hand positioning, because he can't lean on guys. So he's got to be able to reposition himself to be able to effectively block, and he does. If he doesn't come in and help them early, it's disappointing. That's what they need him to do. And look, he's going to be a really good player. I mean, you can debate that maybe one day he might have to move inside the guard, or he's going to be a really good tackle.
Mhm.
Is he going to be really good this year? I don't know. But they need him to be really functional with a veteran quarterback, because that's a spot that is a potential hole and a problem. But I think he can be pretty effective. I think that, Kurt and his staff, they do a great job in teaching, and they really have a better understanding. And from a pass blocking and a run blocking standpoint, see, a lot of those guys, you take like a guy like a Mekhi Becton of Louisville, that so gifted athletically, but Peter had only 16 pass protection drops in his whole career at Louisville.
Wow.
Don't do that. It's a different game.
Yeah.
Tristan is a little bit more advanced because he's done a lot of what you're asked to do. And Kurt has obviously coached offensive line in the NFL and coaches that current system. So I think that helps him.
So for Baker Mayfield there in Cleveland, because Bucky Brooks revealed his list the other day, he had a top 5. He had Cleveland as number 1 as, top skilled positions there. Of course, you have OBJ, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. I mean, they have a plethora of weapons, even added Austin Hooper. The Bucs were second. Does Baker Mayfield have the most pressure on him? What do you see with him when you see him on tape? What's wrong with Mayfield besides the fact he's a young quarterback that makes some very questionable decisions?
I think a combination of he was going to be the savior. He's very confident to the point where he's cocky. Nothing wrong with being cocky or confident to where it bleeds into cocky, as long as you handle it the right way. If you're constantly trying to chirp at everybody that criticizes you, if you've got, rabbit ears and you're constantly trying to gripe at this guy and that guy, that's all distractions that you have to answer and your teammates have to answer. You are the perfunctory leader of your team when you're the quarterback. And even young, they want to see how you respond. Okay. If you're getting rattled because Rex Ryan says something, Rex, God bless him, says something stupid weekly. I mean, if not with every hour. I mean, it's just, that's what they do. It's in the hot take world. I'm going to say something today. You know how that works. So if you're going to sit there and respond to that and I'm going to well, okay, great. Go out and just show them, but you don't have to engage in that. And then it's this and it's that. And then, well, what do you think, Odell? What do you think, Jarvis? What do you think, Nick? What do you think, Coach? And you got all that. Then you throw in the fact that, Baker was in the coaching staff. There was not quite the best in his development. So now you've got a coach that didn't draft him. One thing that's been interesting, and I don't know if it was the COVID offseason or not, but he's been very quiet. Maybe, not the maturity's set in, or maybe it's just we're all stuck home, but you haven't heard a peep from him, and you haven't heard anything about him doing anything off the field. That's just distraction. He's got to mature. And it is one thing to be somebody that talks. If you reflect that in your play, it's a problem. And it did with him. So a lot of what he did was flashy, aggressive. I'm going to fit it in. I'm going to throw it. A lot of mistakes, a lot of poor reads, a lot of I'm going to make something happen. You watch me. That whole, I'm big bad. I'm going to carry my team. That stuff wears thin. Talk is cheap in this league because, nobody can hear what you're saying because your words are drowned out by your action. So it's what you do and how you do it, how you handle it. And I think he needs to learn with that. I think he's got ability to throw the football. I think he's got leadership skills. I think when he takes it and he takes that confidence to, internally grow himself and his team, that's where he can take the next step. A good quarterback coach that's done a good job with guys that he's been around. Mm-hmm. So if he doesn't have success with the weapons that he has, you're going to start to hear fairly on, if they make another mistake. And, when you see a Patrick Mahomes, who we just talked about, when you see a Deshaun Watson, That's the thing that on Cleveland radio they hear all the time. We could have had fill in the blank, and there's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They could have had, and finally they got Baker right. He's the guy. We got him, and there's been enough there to make you excited and say, you know what, they might have something. But there's also been enough to say, let's wait and see if he can do it consistently.
In your opinion, can he do it consistently enough to make the Browns a playoff contender? You have Baltimore, you have Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati's kind of rebuilding. Can he take that next step, or the Browns doomed once again?
I think he can.
Okay.
Willie's the key. Again, with the development at his stage, not having an offseason, it affects everybody. It's certainly going to affect him a great deal. You just hit on something, though. I think that the team that nobody talks about is the Steelers. They just kind of went away when Big Ben got hurt. Mm-hmm. Big Ben is healthy. The Steelers are right in the mix, and we know what the Ravens can do. Quick out in the playoffs, but, a gaudy regular season record. So you could be a really good team in that division, the Browns, and be third in that division. Now, you've got an extra playoff spot in each conference, so, we'll see. But I do think maybe being under the radar, where people said, everybody picked them last year. Maybe that's possible. But I don't know that I see them in the top two in their division. I don't, they're going to have to win 10 games to get in the playoffs, I would think. I think they're capable of doing that, or at least being in the mix in the last 4 or 5 games of the year of having a shot at winning 10.
Real quick, last question, and I'll get you out of here, Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com. As a scout, are you upset or discouraged to draft a player or suggest drafting a player when it comes to a quarterback's attitude? Because you hear Cam Newton, I'm tired of being humble. Deshaun Watson, not really a me guy. Patrick Mahomes, not really a me guy. You have Baker Mayfield, who's, like you said, cocky but confident. Are you dissuaded from drafting a guy like that? Does that have bust written all over it?
I'm a big believer in alpha dog leaders.
Okay.
They come in different personality styles, but that's important. That's to me, the physical skills are easy to define at the quarterback position. It's the intangibles that are the key, and the more you get to know them, they have it. They've got that leadership quality. They command a room. That's what makes you special. It's what impressed me about a Joe Burrow. It's what impressed me about some of the guys that maybe don't have as much talent. Now, we had Steve McNair when Tom Brady came out, so we weren't going to take him. And I can remember, I remember exactly what I gave him. I gave him a 5.9 grade, which equated to a third-round value, but I still wasn't high enough for him. But his intangibles were really good. But in fairness to everyone, this guy couldn't even win a starting job at Michigan. And I may say something about, maybe they weren't doing things. My good friend Lloyd Carr, maybe they, but that's the bottom line. That to me, the more you spend time around them, you really get to know and trust. This is a guy that I want to lead my team. He can be the face of the franchise. He's got broad shoulders and he can do it. Because if you take that guy and they're Peyton Manning, Troy Aikman, and they get the tar beat out of them their rookie year, and they're battered and bruised physically, mentally, and emotionally, and they come back for more, and they get through it like molded steel, you got something. You get that same reaction to the young guy, and people say, oh, man, you're going to pull him. He's going to lose his confidence. He's going to get frustrated. You got that problem. He has that thin of a skin. If he doesn't have that moxie enough to deal with that, you got a problem, because it ain't going to be all, seashells and balloons. You're going to have to go through the tough times, and tough times are what's going to, lead you through it. It's, the thing that made everybody realize that Drew Brees had greatness is tore up his shoulder. The guy that did his surgery, Dr. James Andrews, everybody knows who Dr. James Andrews.
Sure.
Okay. And I love Dr. Andrews, but I was consulting with Nick Saban and the Dolphins there. The guy that did the surgery, Dr. James Andrews, told Nick, and this has been reported differently, I heard it myself, don't draft him. He may never throw the football again quite like he did.
Mm.
The best that's supposedly ever, but the extra effort that Drew Brees through the toughness of the time, that's the toughest thing to do, is to rehab from an injury when you by yourself and you don't know what's coming on the back end of it. And he did it. And that was the other stuff and the capabilities. That's why he's great, because he can do those things. It's why Peyton Manning, who physically, okay, it was great.
Right.
Great. So I think that is always big with me. It is the toughest position to evaluate because it's so intangible. It's a developmental position, but I always ask these two questions. The quarterback, what is his capacity to learn? What is his willingness to learn? How hard is he going to work? How bad does he want it? How smart is he? If those are very high on my grading, I can go to bat with this guy. If it's one of the two are missing, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It won't work. I mean, I sat there and begged good friend Bruce Kebrick, and look, I knew Jamarcus Russell since high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I told Al Davis, God rest his soul, I knew if the phone call was coming at 1 o'clock in the morning, I know there was only one person calling. It was Al Davis, who's a night owl. I told him, don't do it, because I knew Jamarcus right here from LSU. I knew him. He was very lazy, and his intelligence was average. There was never a possibility that he wasn't going to be a bust.
Mm.
I mean, it was, it was as sure as Christmas being on December 25th. But, you get intoxicated about the physical skills, and I get, you never, that's going to get you every time. Those intangible qualities will kill you. And it's why they have to have the physical skills necessary to make the throws and make plays in this league. But if you don't have that alpha dog leader, and it doesn't mean you have to be rah-rah, it just means sometimes you just quiet confidence. There are different ways to exert it, but you have to have those things too.
I can't leave you on the Steve McNair. How great was Air McNair in his career for the Houston franchise and eventually Tennessee? I mean, was it third overall? I mean, how great was he? And give me a great memory of Air McNair. God bless.
Well, it's a great question, because there's an example. When I was involved in drafting him,
mm-hmm.
I didn't think we were drafting a Hall of Famer. Here's what I knew. I knew he was tough as nails. This guy played with a broken vertebra in his back.
Mm.
This guy had more, and he was tough as nails, and was a quiet leader, and guys responded to him in a big way. Not a great passer, but a winner and a tough guy. He threw for a gazillion yards at Alcorn State. And here's the bottom line. They ran 4 wides shotgun every play. And the read was, he took the shotgun snap, and pressure came from the left, he rolled right. Mm-hmm. Pressure came from the right, he rolled left. And it was just simple reads. No, it took 2 days in the first minicamp practice, 2 full practices for him to learn how to properly execute the quarterback center exchange. He'd never done it, never taken a snap under center. So when we got him, we knew that it was a project. We combined him with a veteran quarterback, Chris Chandler, and then Dave Craig. But we knew he was going to be a quality starter and a really good player and a tough guy, and that's what he was. And now, was he great and worthy of the 3rd pick? Well, yeah, we don't go to the Super Bowl without him, along with some other things. But when you don't have a quarterback, oftentimes, and this goes back to how much Patrick Mahomes got, very often what you're paying for a quarterback is not what he's worth, but what he's worth in relation to what the other options are. That's what it really comes down to. So, you don't want to pay fill in the blank. Okay, I understand. Now what? And the answer is a lot of twiddling of the thumbs, and got to get lucky in the draft, got to get high enough. It's a long. They're two teams. Ones that, well, you have a quarterback, and ones that are compelled to find one. And if it means they draft one high and he's a bust, they'll draft another one, he's a bust. And if they do it 4 times, I mean, look at the Kansas City Chiefs, with the exception of the little run of Joe Montana towards the end of his career. God bless those Chiefs fans. It wasn't since Lynn Dawson that they've had a truly elite quarterback. I mean, Steve DeBerg and Todd Blackledge and, a lot of guys that were functional.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't good enough. Marty had some teams that were really good, loaded defensively, and they won a bunch of games. And people said, but he couldn't win in the playoffs. He couldn't win in the playoffs because Elway put the Broncos on his back and beat. I mean, it's just not, didn't have it. So you get a quarterback, you say, I'm not letting that guy out, that thoroughbred out the door.
I'll tell you right now, I could talk football with you all night long. This guy right here is elite. Chris Landry, former scout for the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, worked with Bill Belichick, of course, LandryFootball.com. Go ahead and promote your network because we're a part of it here. You're exclusive to Bucs Report. We're glad to have you on the Sports Web, but go ahead and promote yourself. Once again, some really great stuff tonight, as always, my friend.
Been working hard on that, and Peter, we're really excited. And when we kind of finalize things, let me just say this: that we've got, for example, all of our conference podcasts now set up. They're going to start here and churning out next Monday. Big 12, SEC's already up. SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12. We're going to have a college football recruiting show. We obviously are so happy to have you guys. We're working with some other members of your family for the playbook segment, which we think is going to be phenomenal. So we've been working with Keith, and we're going to have loaded college football handicapping, fantasy football. We are working towards luring 2 of the best syndicated radio programs in the country on college football. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch there, but we're going to have it. The Chris Landry Football Twitch channel is going to have great program like yours that we're going to have all day long, and we're really excited about it and looking at a lot of different possibilities that we can add. So we're just tickled to death that we've got good quality like you guys, great opportunity for the fans to get involved. You're a college fan, you're a pro fan. We've got something for you all day long. It's a great alternative, isn't it? Because it's just, we can bring you that. And of course, check out what we do at LandryFootball.com, where we take you behind the curtain and break down the game from the coaching and scouting perspective and our roster analysis and breakdowns in college football. We're going to work on our NFL ones, get all that out for you. So we're constantly doing that, breaking down games inside the film room, and certainly we're doing that up on these podcasts. So check us out. We think you're going to love it, and a lot of things coming. We're really, really excited. Probably have I know over a dozen shows that are going to be live and quality all throughout the day. So we'll check out the details on Twitter at Landry Football and at LandryFootball.com as we start to roll them out and get them where they're starting to come out. You're going to love it out there.
Absolutely. Chris Landry, thanks a lot for your time here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. We're going to talk college football. Trust me, it's not going to just be NFL. We're going to definitely talk some college football here on the Sports Web. All right, boss?
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Take care. Keep doing a great job. We're, again, so thrilled to have you, and welcome everybody out there. And I certainly want your feedback. We're doing this for you guys. And so God bless everybody in Tampa. Take care.
All right. Thanks a lot. There you go. Chris Landry for his time. I mean, he's unbelievable. I know we had some guests on. You have to wait. You have to be flexible with me. But when you get a guy like that who's been in the business, he's talking about Aaron McNair, who's talking about Tom Brady, once again, taking you behind the curtain. He's talking about Tristan Wirfs. What's he think about the COVID situation? We'll get Joshua Cole Allen on. We'll get Mr. Alex Fleming on here. Let's go out to the webheads. We'll read these comments, and then we'll go to it. Sam Buck with the fist. Like it. Ready for the Bucs. Let's go, baby. Love it. Live. Hey, Virtual Ed's video. Christopher Cole, hey, what's going on? What's going on? Sitting, love it, bro. Absolutely appreciate you. Chris Landry is the man. Absolutely. Great guest and content as always, Peter. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. What's going on, guys? Best virtual edits. What's going on? Where's Johnny Dean tonight? Don't know. Gabe, hey, glad to see your mic's working again. Absolutely. It's always good to have that. AYSS Sports, thanks a lot for tuning in here with the thumbs up. What's going on, Roxanne? Hey, you to you. YouTube is lonely tonight. Ray Kennedy, Chris Landry. Funny you should mention Dick Rabin. I'm in the middle of writing a weekend piece on him. He was planning to cover him this weekend on my show. He was a true believer. Good stuff, Tampa Bay. Ray Kennedy, of course. This edition of the Sports Web brought to you by Cup of Ray, which will be at 10 o'clock in the morning, I believe, here on Bucs Report. Your soup du jour, I guess that's what we say here on Bucs Report on the Sports Web. You know, for me, Ray Kennedy, he's my guy. He's my co-host of the Sports Web. He reminds me of getting up on Sunday morning and watching Good Morning Sunday Morning on CBS. That's the kind. He relaxes you. You're happy to get up on a Sunday morning. It kind of started off. I wouldn't work on a Sunday morning unless I'm covering a game. He would definitely work. So definitely tune in to Couple Ray on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock here live on Bucs Report. There you go. But only a few minutes. Need to go into hair and makeup soon. Would you shut up? What's going on, Dylan? Let's see here. Best virtual edits video. Hey, Josh and Dylan, thanks a lot. Full show tonight. Absolutely. No, Johnny, I don't know where he's at, but he'll get on here eventually. Yes, sir. Where is Johnny? Where in the world is Johnny? I know he was a Steelers fan at heart. Stop it. Going in, guys. See you on the other side. See you there. Cornell says, what's up, Peter? What's going on? Welcome to the evolution of sports talk television. Okay, have fun. See you, Dylan. Didn't see him on Facebook either. Don't know where he's at tonight, but we'll get him on. Don't worry. He'll be a part of the show. He always is. Interesting. That's weird. Dealing says, great insight as always from Chris. Best virtual edits video. True, Dylan. Best virtual edits. Best virtual edits video. Say that 3 times. We got to come up with another name for you. And him and Eddie George. Absolutely. Him and Eddie George. What a fantastic team they had during that time. Chris is right. The players have to believe in their quarterback. Leadership isn't always the rah-rah kind of guy. That would be Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49. It's the guy that's putting in the work when the camera isn't on. It's the guy that's looking at tape 100 times when he throws an interception. Ray Kennedy, true enough. Blake Anthony. Cole, loved Chris. Great interview, Peter. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Cole, of course, from the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, my broadcasting school, one of my brothers there, that we did. He was one of my classmates. So hopefully you're doing well. Thanks a lot for tuning into the evolution. All right, let's go out to our video chat here. Mr. Joshua Cole Allen, welcome. And we've got Mr. Alex Fleming. There you go, guys. Welcome to the evolution of sports talk television. A lot of great stuff there from Chris Landry, right?
Oh, yeah, he's amazing. I could just sit down and listen to him like you for hours. The insight, the knowledge that he brings to the table, the behind the scenes, behind the curtains is just, you don't get it anywhere else but on the Bucs Report. So, I mean, make sure you're here whenever he's on this show.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. And you got to be impressed by what he said about Steve McNair, talking about Jamarcus Russell. I mean, he had bust written all over him. I mean, you don't get that stuff from anywhere else. You get that from a guy who actually talked to the late, great Al Davis. Of course, probably better in his earlier years than in his later. But even he said Jamarcus Russell bust written all over him.
I think the biggest thing about Jamarcus Russell is when they gave him the VHS tape and they asked him to watch it and it was blank and he said he watched it. It was like, it was just an indictment. It's like you knew right then and there you made a mistake. Probably had a cannon arm and a peanut brain.
All right, let's talk about the latest headlines here. Looks like there's some ominous talk here, but I think, with Sam Acho saying to Sirius XM Radio, the league currently opposes opts out of any kind. The league is very hesitant to have any player opt out. Their position is if the player doesn't want to go to training camp, well, that's their decision. Obviously, fines could take place and you could lose your starting spot, All those things could take place. Your thoughts on this, gentlemen? It's not really ominous, but you got to feel like with, around the other football or around the other leagues in professional sports in Major League Baseball, the NHL, basketball, there's already been opt-outs. You have to feel like there could be some opt-outs in this early NFL season.
Well, Malcolm Jenkins already spoke on it. It's like, look, there's a protest going on, whether people want to believe that it's real or not. Washington is going through a name change. If you ever go to that Washington Redskins fan page, that has to be the most moist site that you can visit in quite some time. And we're in the middle of a pandemic. So there are definitely things going on behind the scenes other than football. Malcolm Jenkins said it best. These people just think that we're entertainment. They don't see us as civilians. Why am I going to put my life on the line for people who could give a damn about me unless they're going to use me on the fantasy team or entertainment? Number two, with everything that's going on, Baltimore is already limited to 14,000 people in the stands. New York won't even have people in the facilities unless Andrew Cuomo comes up off of that. Is it really going to behoove the players to play this season if A, these idiots in the streets don't start wearing masks, B, the numbers don't get better, and C, there's that type of health contingency that the owners are going to make for the players?
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things that is still something that's up to debate is that didn't come out today was testing, how frequent testing will happen. You look at all the different, as you mentioned, the Ravens said they're only going to let 14,000 fans. The Chiefs said they're going to cut down on attendance as well. They haven't come out with a number. You look at even the Titans GM. He said that he fully expects players to come in and test positive for COVID. So it's going to be a precarious situation with these players. I believe Greg Allman was on this show last night with Peter and speaking about players opting out. Potentially, maybe you have older guys who are contemplating retirement as it was, or have the financial security that they have in their career to take a year off, or to go ahead and retire rather than put their family themselves at risk for this disease. It's going to be very interesting, as you said. New York, California, multiple other states. Arizona's being hit hard right now. We don't know the extent that they'll allow fans. Now, one of the things that did come out was the NFL wants to have 2 fan attendant type deals in training camp. Of course, players will not be allowed to go on the field. They will not be able to contact or interact with the players. But that's something that the NFL pushed for. But as we just spoke on, with all these uncertainties in these cities and states as it is now, it's going to be really hard to see how, A, fans will even be able to go to these practices or attend these fan events, and B, if these players are going to decide to opt out or be hesitant to go to training camp. Yes, they agree to something, but it still has to be agreed between all players, not just the one that's speaking for them. So you could definitely see players who, the team might have agreed to it based on their player rep, but individuals on that team who maybe voted no against it do not show up.
Yeah, and you look at Ali Marpet's comments yesterday, keep on going back to that. He's an NFL Players Association representative. For any reason, if NFL Players Association leadership felt we had taken undue risk, I don't think the NFL Players Association would recommend coming back. So to me, Alex, it certainly seems like there's some conflicting stuff going on. You have the players representative. You have a guy that is also a representative that's saying, no, we're not going to have any opt-outs. And this guy is saying, and Marpet, we're not going to go back until the risk is always going to be out there. I don't feel like it's ever going to be safe. You're not going to have a vaccination. You're still going to have some positive tests. So I don't know what to think about this.
Okay. All right. Can I approach the elephant in the room?
Sure. Go for it.
All right. You got clowns on social media trying to be funny, trying to push their agenda. I've been a visitor or guest on your show for a little bit over a year now. So if you're afraid now, you've been afraid. Go find a safe space. Number two, Lift Every Voice and Sing is not just for Blacks. It's for everyone. It's a national anthem for everyone. For those who are uneducated, the third and fourth stanza of the Star Spangled Banner doesn't really fit people who look like me, Asians, or Hispanics. That's the reason why you shouldn't have a national anthem. In 2008, is when it was implemented when the armed services and the NFL even pushed to televise and have a national anthem. That is paid patriotism. By definition, that's fascism. Now, people want to fight Antifa and have issues against Antifa. Why don't you have issues with the way that NFL used to be before 2008, whenever we were paying the military to show their patriotism? No one wants to talk about that. Number two, it's not a black national anthem. It's a voice for players because they don't want to stand for the regular national anthem. Would you stand for something that went against your family, your ancestors, and everything that people fought for and stood upon? Probably not. The NBA doesn't have a clause to where you can't kneel or protest. Well, look for that to happen in the bubble in Orlando. NFL players are citizens first, players second. So this whole shut up and dribble or shut up and play needs to stop. You're showing your ignorance.
All right. It was kind of different from what I was looking for there, but I understand where you're coming from. I will say this, though, for that national anthem in America, that America has given them the opportunity to be a professional athlete. So I think there's, good. Look, there's a lot of warts in American society and history, and a lot of people, I think, have to take that into context. Not everything is perfect. Not everything is rainbows and butterflies and everything like that. There's definitely some things that we have to work on. We have to come together in order to work on it. And what you're watching right now is the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Joshua Cole Allen, one of our newest writers. And, of course, Turf Talk on Saturdays at 10 o'clock with Mr. Alex Fleming of Fantasy and Flavors. I get what you're saying. I understand there's controversy all over the NFL. What I'm trying to say is there even seems like there's some dissension. There is some dissension. Yes, between NFL with some of the comments that have come out the last couple of days from Ali Marpet and of course dissension and Sam Ocho, who has basically come out and said, we look down on having opt-outs at this point, Josh. So for me, they're going to have to figure this out. You don't want opt-outs. Fans don't want it, but you also have to understand the other side of it. Even though they're professional athletes, they're also human beings, and it is an unsafe environment, but you still want to play football and you still want to come to the table with your best team.
Exactly. And, the dissension that you're talking about here is players on the team elect player representatives for their team. And usually those are more focused around player benefits, contract talks, things that benefit the players' union and the team players on the team. This is a completely different situation. We're dealing with a national pandemic. It's something that you're going to have a strong stance on one way or the other. And with the health risks involved in this as well, you're going to have more players who are going to disagree about possibly playing football than you are going to be about, a 17-game schedule or a seventh wild card. So it's a little bit different in that sense where, those things might be things you can kind of get over. But when you have a national, player rep going in there and saying, okay, yeah, we agree to this, and maybe not everyone's voice is heard. And even if everyone's voice is heard, maybe it's, because it's majority vote pretty much when these things come down to it. You saw that with the last, CBA negotiations. There was a lot of players that voted against it, but it passed just enough to be passed. But this is different. This isn't a CBA. This isn't about money. This is about health. So the dissension comes from that point where your player rep is going to vote yes to it, and you are putting your health on the line, not your money on the line. Well, you're putting your money on the line, but it's more your health. I mean, we've seen the numbers, we've seen the risks, we've seen the deaths, and, it's not something that players want to gamble with. And that's why I think you will see those opt-outs from some players. I'm not saying mass opt-outs or majority opt-outs, but you'll see some older players who are contemplating retiring. You'll see some players who have, enough money and think that they can take the year off and come back. Maybe they're a little banged up still, come back and regain a starting position, which you'll see some opportunities for other guys. But it's going to be interesting to see, as well as everything that's happened this offseason since the COVID outbreak. You really don't know what's going to happen. And it's almost like a horror movie. You're just sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for the pop, and you don't know when it's going to happen. And you're excited for it, but you're nervous for it at the same time because, you don't want to spill your drink all over your popcorn everywhere. But
I agree and disagree with Josh that it is a bit like a horror movie. But here's the problem with the horror movie analogy. Most of the brothers are in this horror movie. You can't kill them all. And unlike back in the day with the CBA, where there was 500 players who didn't even vote, they were on the sidelines. I remember when Peter and I were talking about that. I think this is a unified front. If we can't be seen as equals, why in the hell are we going to entertain America and risk our health and our livelihood? Look for there to be solidarity when it comes to whether or not there will be a season. The fact that we're even talking about opt-outs lets you know that they're at least thinking about it.
Oh, I think they're thinking about it, but they're thinking about it not necessarily because of the political climate. I think they're thinking about it because, again, we're going through a pandemic, and the situation right now is we've never seen this before. So I think that's more of anything else. And then, of course, you have family members who have underlying conditions. You have coaches out there that are older. So what if a quarterback gets it in that quarterback room, say a Tom Moore? You don't want that to happen, but say a Tom Moore who's 81 years old, a quarterback gets it, then that whole quarterback room gets infected. That's exactly what you don't want to see. Let's talk about quarterbacks, guys. Lighten it up a little bit here because we're talking all about COVID. I don't want to nag everybody out with politics and everything. Somebody says, oh, you're talking politics. We're not talking politics. We're talking the NFL here on the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Joshua Cole Allen, Mr. Alex Fleming of Turf Talk here on Saturdays at 10 o'clock. The Audible starting 1 week from tonight. At what, 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock, 8 to 9.
8 o'clock. All right, must-see TV there, Joshua Cole Allen. Patrick Mahomes. How bad do you want to be, Patrick Mahomes, Alex Fleming? 503 million reasons why. 10 years, they had to get this deal done. My thought is you get the deal done. You see some of the provisions of the contract. You can't play basketball. You can't jet ski. I don't know why you would have to put that in the contract in the first place. But the Chiefs definitely had to get this done. What is the effect? Do they get a chance to sign Chris Jones? What type of players are they going to lose in the coming years because of the Mahomes contract?
Two things. One, bro, get a prenup. For real. Get a prenup. All right? I'll just leave that at that. Two, this is a friendly contract. If you look at it, it's $503 million over 10 years because he's still on the books for 2 years. If you build that out over time, it's a $45 million a year contract. The franchise tag for the quarterback is going up. This is quarterback friendly. You take away his $45 million, that's going to leave about $111 million the rest of the salary cap for the players. Now, if you get Chris Jones, if you re-sign Travis Kelce to the last 5 years of his career, because I think he's got 6, maybe 7 years left, and he's done. Do you re-sign Tyreek Hill? Do you re-sign Sammy Watkins, or do you go through the draft? You need the offensive line around him. And that defense, you saw that defense last year. It was bend, don't break. They do not have a top-tier defense. So they're going to have an offense that's going to be able to compete with anybody in the NFL. The problem is he's going to take up a chunk of that salary cap, so they're not going to be able to get free big names. They're going to have to rely on drafting and free agents because big names coming there wanting to get that contract, that's not going to be in the contract, bro, because they're not going to have enough money. He's tied to Kansas City for 12 years. Congratulations. Drew Bledsoe was tied to New England at 2001. Look what happened there. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers, he had 2 extensions. That seemed to work out. Here's my point. When you sign a quarterback for a long time, you're playing Russian roulette. Yes, he's yours, but that's the reason for the $141 million insurance policy if he gets injured. Because if he gets injured, bro, other than that, this is brilliant. And look for El Freaky to take advantage of this situation. And if they go to the Super Bowl this year, look for him to have his hand out saying, I want my money.
Then that would be Lamar Jackson, right? You think that's the next guy that gets the big contract, not a Dak Prescott?
El Freaky L.
Okay. All right. There you go. Good stuff. Go ahead.
I agree with Alex Fleming on that. I think it's a very team-friendly deal. You look at it, you talk about the salary cap going up each year. It's grown 60% in the last 8 years. It's going to continue to grow, and the quarterback numbers are continue to go up. So him making 45, 50 million in the latter half of that deal is going to be, yes, a large number, but there's also restructures. And don't forget that after a couple of years, it pretty much becomes a year-to-year contract with the team holding the options. There are definitely escalators in there where he can make more guaranteed money as it goes on. But at that point, they can evaluate and see what's going on. If he's starting to lose skill, yes, 10 years is a lot. And like Alex said, you saw Drew Bledsoe's 10-year contract. Then it transferred over to Buffalo. Then it transferred over to Dallas. So who knows if he's even going to continue his reign there. You saw they had a pretty competent starter with Alex Smith, and they decided to go with a guy like Patrick Mahomes. If that opportunity becomes available in, let's say, year 8 or year 9, you can, and he's still performing at a high level, you could see a potential trade of him and his contract, which at that point will be relatively the same. As for Dak Prescott and El Freaky, as Alex likes to call him, I see Lamar Jackson getting paid not near there. Let's say he's making 45 a year at Mahomes. I can see him making like 38, 39. I don't see him getting all the way up to that upper echelon unless he wins a Super Bowl this year. I mean, you take a look at Patrick Mahomes, first year, played 1 game. Second year, league MVP. Third, went to the AFC Championship game, just barely got beat out by the Patriots. Third year, Super Bowl MVP. So if this is the trajectory that Lamar Jackson is on, first real year starting, MVP, second year Super Bowl MVP, you may look to see a similar contract deal. And with Dak Prescott, I feel like he's going the Kirk Cousins route, franchise, maybe trade, something like that. I don't see him locking in long-term anytime soon. We have about, 6 or 7 days until the franchise tag becomes locked in and you can no longer sign an extension for this season. It's not looking very optimistic. Of course, things can change as the tide does, and we're all hoping the same for Shaq Barrett as well. But you never know. And again, yeah, prenuptial agreements.
Yeah, you're exactly right. With Dak Prescott, you're getting that type of contract. I think he's kind of trying to wait to see how much he can get. And even some people are talking about Mahomes eventually in the 5th year, kind of trying to tear up his contract and redo it again. Could you guys see him doing that in the next 5 or 6 years, tearing up that contract and redoing it?
Yeah, for sure. It depends on where the quarterback market is. If he becomes, if he continues his trajectory, wins another Super Bowl or 2, and you see the trajectory of contracts climb higher and higher to where, it's 42, 43, and he's won 2 Super Bowls, maybe another MVP, absolutely. You could say, hey, the salary cap's going up, so the contracts are going up. I've proved my worth on this end. Let's re-up my contract. Open up some cap space to sign someone like a Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce or a free agent of that matter and bring them in. I also agree with Alex. It's definitely, they're going to have to draft. It's going to be draft and develop. And luckily they have Andy Reid there and Eric Bieniemy, I believe is how you say his last name.
Eric Bieniemy.
Yes.
So I mean, they're attached to the hip. He's soaking all of Andy Reid, and Andy Reid's a pretty good draft evaluator, as you can see with Mahomes. So hopefully that works out for them. But definitely rip it up. Give me more money. I've won 2 more Super Bowls or 1 more Super Bowl, another MVP. I need more money.
All right. Speaking of more money, looks like Jedrick Wills from the Cleveland Browns. I keep on saying Willis. I don't know why, but Wills, the offensive tackle from the Cleveland Browns, is going to be signed. He is signed, sealed, and delivered. What do you think his impact is, Alex, on the Browns? Can he get it done? Can Baker Mayfield get it done for the Cleveland Browns? A lot of pressure on him. A lot of interceptions last year. Get it, it's not 30, but still over 20. And a lot of big-time expectations, not only last year, but this year coming in. So what do you think?
I actually got to meet and speak with Jedrick Wills of the Alabama Crimson Tide. I actually had a chance to talk to him in his hotel at the Combine. So let me fill you in on a couple of things.
Okay.
He's going to protect that punk known as Baker Mayfield. The bozo known as Baker Mayfield is in the contract year. This is his 3rd year. This coward has more commercials than he does W's.
They're good commercials.
Talking crap to media, He's talking crap to other former coaches, and he hasn't done a damn thing on the football field. Once they got rid of Joe Pa, a.k.a. Freddie Kitchens, it's like now it's show and tell time. You pass up on Eric Bieniemy to get Stefanski, who was middle of the road with the Minnesota Vikings. So you know what? You have Landry, you have OBJ. David Njoku's requested a trade. Whether or not they're going to do that or not, I don't know. Maybe he's threatened by Austin Hooper. I don't know. But when you get the tackle out of Tennessee and you get a monster like Jedrick Wills, you don't have an excuse for not having time on the offensive line. Baker Mayfield, shut the hell up. It's show and tell time. Back to Jedrick Wills. Excellent footwork. Great communication on the line. He's a leader. I don't want to call him a bully, but he is massive. He's a bit of a gladiator because when it's one-on-one, I feel sorry for the competitor. Unless your name is Cam Jordan or J.J. Watt, this guy's going to smother you. Good hands on a defender. He won't fall for the swat and swim. Nick Saban's taught him well. Jedrick Wills is a bona fide day one starter. Jedrick Wills is legit. So forget what you heard. Baker Mayfield's going to have time to throw. It's on Baker now. Let's see what he's got.
All right, let's go to the phone line. Welcome to the Sports Web. What's on your mind?
Me, Gabe, just so you guys know, both you, Josh, and Alex.
Okay. What's up, Gabe?
All I have to say about this is that Kansas City better pray that nothing happened to Mahomes.
Well, yeah, he's got that $140 million injury insurance policy there in his contract.
I mean, we saw this happen already with what happened with Drew Bledsoe. I mean, they signed him to that massive 10-year contract. A couple years down the road, he has that almost fatal injury. Tom Brady comes in, and then they cut him, which leads to a lot of dead cap, or which led to a lot of dead cap.
Okay, they traded him.
So Kansas City better pray that nothing happens.
Okay. All right. I agree with that. I mean, you definitely can't miss out on your franchise quarterback. Every team in the NFL is praying that they don't miss out on their starting franchise quarterback. Even the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are looking not to miss Tom Brady because the backup quarterback situation can be a downgrade. That's why they're a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, and Gabe, just for your point, the Patriots actually traded Drew Bledsoe to the Bills and received a first-round pick for them. So while he was at that massive contract, they still received what you would call really good value for a player who was, 92 to 2002, 10 years into his career. So, I mean, if you told me I could trade a guy who's on a 10-year contract for a first-round pick who's a 10-year vet, give me that deal all day, especially if I have someone like Tom Brady behind me.
Shouldn't we be thanking the Jets for knocking out Drew Bledsoe and bringing Tom Brady to life?
Absolutely. In essence.
Go ahead, Gabe.
That's kind of a scary thought.
Well, no, I mean, if the Jets don't knock him out, then you have Drew Bledsoe, and you never know the greatness of Tom Brady. So who knows? Even you heard from our own Chris Landry, who said, look, Bill Belichick wasn't the guy that pounded the table with somebody else and Dick Rayburn. Who pounded the table and felt like he was going to be great. Did you think he was going to be the greatest of all time? Of course not. It's hard to really figure this out, and that's why you get give a big time contract to a quarterback when they throw for 50 touchdowns in 1 year and throw for 25 and 6. So
76 touchdowns in 31 games or something crazy like that.
All right, Gabe. Thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you. All right.
All right. Hold on. One more thing.
Yes, dramatic pause. Go for it.
Yes, the dramatic pause. Thank you, Josh, for giving me that nickname. All right. I still feel like I have to apologize about what happened last night.
Yeah,
did we lose him
last night? I think we did.
Hang up. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, just so my thoughts on Jedrick Wills, I think he's going to be an amazing player.
No, we're here. Go ahead. Go for it. Keep on going. We're on the Sports Web here, the evolution of sports talk television. Thanks a lot for the call, Gabe. Go ahead, Joshua.
Oh, I just on Jedrick Wills. I think he's a monster of a man. You look at Nick Saban. He knows how to build those boys in the trenches, and especially that defensive side as well. They get all the good recruits. And Baker Mayfield, Alex said it best. He's got no excuse. He's got his big boy to maul, and he's got Jack Conklin over there that they stole away from Tennessee. You have OBJ, Jarvis Landry, teammates, PPR monsters. If you play fantasy, you have a guy like Nick Chubb, who can pound the rock, catch it out of the backfield. You bring in Kareem Hunt, bring the kicking machine himself. You have someone like Austin Hooper. Yes, David Njoku did request a trade, but I think that's more about the Harrison Barnes draft pick in the 4th round and bringing Hooper as well. Kind of seeing the number on the wall, maybe not get his 5th-year option picked up, so go to another team that may pick it up. But it's all on Baker Mayfield. He's got the talk. Now it's time for him to walk the walk. He had a pretty decent season his first season. Obviously, yes, last year they had high hopes. There were a lot of people Super Bowl darlings, media offseason winners, for the Super Bowl, and it didn't translate on the field. They have a pretty solid defense. The question will become Baker Mayfield and how does Kevin Stefanski bring the most out of him. I see them trying to compete, but that division is Baltimore's in my mind. Joe Burrow, if he can come in there with Zach Taylor, I like him as an offensive mind. The Bengals should be a little bit better with a healthy AJ Green, and you still got Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh and a pretty solid defense, especially leading the way with TJ Watt. So Baker's got a lot of walking to do after doing all that talking, and we'll see.
All right, let's go out to Johnny Dean here to the phone lines. Johnny Dean, the professor, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. You're on with yours truly, along with Joshua Cole Allen and Alex Fleming of Turf Talk. Go for it, my friend.
What's up, guys? I was late to the show today. I missed all of Landry.
Well, that's a good. Hey, that's a good interview you missed, my friend. So definitely, again, this is the great thing about LandryFootball.com. We will be on his website along with all the other platforms for podcasts. So it actually does become a podcast after it ends here. So you'll get a chance to listen to that audio if you want to check it out. So go ahead.
I have a response for Joshua there. He was talking about Baker somebody, and I don't know if he ever mentioned that other guy, Mitch somebody. I don't know. I don't know who those guys are, but they don't sound like football players to me. I mean, who has ever heard of a Baker football guy? Come on, man. Mitch is the guy that lives down the street from me and cuts grass. But I just want to know. I missed Chris Landry. Did I miss the dude tonight? Has he been on?
Dude has not been on tonight. It's been a packed show. We've had content up the yin yang, so no need for the dude to get on anybody. We've had the great Alex Fleming, Joshua Cole Allen, Chris Landry, and we have some webhead comments and some phone calls, so no need to get the dude on yet. But he'll probably be showing up. Yes.
Can I ask Johnny a question?
Sure, go for it, Alex Fleming.
Mr. Johnny Dean, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing fine today, sir. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm feeling good. I made sure to shave my hair so there was nothing scary about me. With that being said, Amazon has halted all sales of merchandise of the Washington Football Group. Nike, Pepsi, and FedEx have all strong-armed Washington. There's a lot of infighting amongst the crowd, the fans, season ticket holders, and so-called Native Americans in the Washington fan page and Washington group. How long do you think it's going to be before there's a resolution to this Washington drama?
I don't see it. It might be by the beginning of the season. They might come up with a plan by the beginning of the season, and then instilling it before next season begins is how I would think it would happen, because there's a lot of technical details into changing a name. Washington's going to win out of this anyway, because once they change their name and they change their logo, they're going to get paid, man, because they're going to make a lot of money in resales.
Yeah, and there's a report from – hold on, guys. There's a report tonight from Pro Football Talk that says that the Redskins or the Washington franchise is not going to use any Native American references to their new name.
Or imagery in the logo.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
Well, that's what the councils have been pushing for, to be completely separated from that team.
Sure.
Completely separated.
Sure. Anything else, Johnny?
But No, I was just checking in. I saw Alex there, man, and he's one of my guys. You know, I got to listen to Alex.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Johnny.
He's too early in the mornings on Saturday though for me, man. I just stay up with your show at night, and then Alex is there in the morning. I'm like, I missed him again. So
Yeah, I know. Well, look, Johnny, that's the great thing about Bucs Report. It's the great thing about everything else. It's going to be out there. You'll be able to see the replay of it. It's always there. Plenty of watch parties up, and Alex does a tremendous job as always on Saturday morning. I don't even get up, but I'm going to try to get up this Saturday morning to see what he has to say.
For the people who haven't watched Alex's show, and Joshua's going to have a badass show ever coming out with the Audible, and Anthony Bamonti is going to have a show on YouTube. Everybody, get as much VR in your system as you can, people, because these guys are great. They're bringing it.
Absolutely.
All right, bud.
All right, man. Appreciate you. There you go. It's Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the newest writer, Joshua Cole Allen. Of course, Mr. Alex Fleming of Turf Talk, which can be heard and seen here on Saturdays at 10 o'clock. Of course, the Audible show a week from tonight at 8 o'clock. Looking forward to that. Yes, sir. Go for it.
I just want to answer one of the fan comments in there. David Searles, he asked me who the Patriots picked with that Drew Bledsoe pick. I believe they took Ty Warren, defensive end. He had a pretty strong career with the Patriots. So if you can, add to those trenches and build that up with a player like that for giving up, Drew Bledsoe and holding on to Tom Brady, that's a win-win deal in my book.
All right, we got Rick Hughes coming on here in just a little bit. We'll get him on, have him join the party. Raheem Mostart is asking for a trade according to his agent, Brent Tesler, on Twitter. Went on Twitter to announce months of unproductive talks, which I joked about is kind of like one of my relationships or a lot of my relationships. Months of unproductive talks with the 49ers about fairly adjusting the deal of a player where his role changed to this team. Of course, if you look at his numbers, guys, 952 rushing yards last year, 10 touchdowns, and during the postseason, get this, 336 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. In your opinion, guys, does he deserve a contract extension? Yes or no?
I mean, he just signed a contract extension last year. So, I mean, I believe he does. But at the same time, you just signed an extension last year. You're only in your second year into it. Yes, you outperformed it and outplayed it. And it goes both ways with the owners saying, we can cut you anytime. Well, players should say, well, hey, I feel like I deserved it. Not only do I deserve it, but you showed me a vote of confidence by trading Matt Breida away this season. You restructured a guy like Jerick McKinnon, who was supposed to come in and be the guy. You don't know what he's going to bring to the table. I'm pretty much the guy here now. I proved my worth last year. I would like more money. Now, San Francisco 49ers, as a team point and as a business point, they can just sit on their hands and say, well, you just signed an extension last year. This is what you can do. You can play or you cannot play. Figure it out. And we'll see how that goes. I think he deserves more money, but I don't think he'll get it.
All right, Alex, save your point here. I know you got something to say. Let's go out to the phone lines here. Curtis from Newport Richie, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. What's on your mind?
What's going on, guys?
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing all right, man. Just chilling. I'm trying to put the baby to bed. I got a call before I put the baby to bed.
Okay, good stuff.
Alex, I was watching your show the other day, and I said you were talking about Donovan Smith and him being like a second-tier left tackle. I agree with you 100%, and I would take Donald Penn over Donovan Smith any day. Any day.
Any day. Alex, anything to say to that?
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a Bucs fan. And you can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink.
I know. And even when we let Penn go, I'm like, why did y'all let Penn go? What was he, like 30 years old when we let him go?
Yeah,
he was still fresh.
Yes.
He was still fresh.
Yes, he was that exodus when Lovie Smith came in.
Fresh and
right.
Was he undrafted?
I believe he was, yes.
And he didn't even start immediately. He sat on the bench for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And the Bucs developed him, and they let him go, and he turned out to have a pretty good career.
The same to go to the Raiders?
Same thing they did to Michael Bennett.
Yep, same thing. And I'll tell you right now, I'll tell you a story here really quick, guys. Steve White, who does he's done various works, former defensive man in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He would come in to 10:10 a.m. and preach and tell everybody when people would say they don't have a pass rusher that can get it done. He would pound the table for Michael Bennett. He said Michael Bennett is the guy. They just got to use him. They got to figure out how to use him. They got to develop him, but he's the guy. And sure enough, he was. They let him go to Seattle, and the rest is history. That's one of the main losses. You look back in Bucs history, you were like, oh.
And I was listening to you and Chris Landry. I want to say something about Chris Landry. That guy is great,
right?
But I agree with him 100% about Baker Mayfield. This is a make or break year for him.
Yeah,
because if he has a terrible season, they're going to put him in the same category as Winston. And honestly, I'm going to tell you something. To me, my personal opinion, Baker Mayfield is nowhere half as talented as Winston to me.
Amen.
I agree.
If I had to take Winston or Mayfield, I'd take Winston just off of his natural talent.
Yeah,
hey, look, can I feed off of that?
Yeah, sure.
Baker Mayfield doesn't have nowhere near the numbers of Jameis Winston. He doesn't have the passing yards of Jameis Winston. He doesn't have the touchdowns of Jameis Winston. He's got a better offensive line. He had better weapons. He's got a running game. This man has no excuse. If people were going to come at Winston the way they did, oh, trust me, let Baker Mayfield have a bad season. I'm going to come 3 times harder because he's got not one, but 2 top wide receivers. He's got a running game, and he's got a tight end. People need to save their energy for the proper space. I'm hoping and praying that Baker Mayfield fails because I'm going to come at him like dirt in the desert.
Go for it, Curtis.
I just was telling somebody the other day, if you go back and you look at Baker, I understand that he went to an 0-16 team, but he's had talent around him since he's came in the league. I said, what did Jameis come to? When Jameis got to Tampa, he had Mike Evans and Doug Martin, who had a good year that year, but after that, it was nothing.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you the last time we had a running back run for 800 yards.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. I mean, we've kind of talked about this on this show a lot when it comes to Jameis Winston and, of course, the running back situation with the Bucs. But now, once again, they have definitely turned the page at this juncture, and we'll see how it goes this year in 2020.
And not only that, everybody looks at OBJ and they're like, oh, he's a top.
Did Peter freeze? I believe Peter froze, Josh.
I agree. No, we're here. We're all here together. We're here. Curtis, definitely. I definitely know what you're talking about. OBJ also has something to prove, and he was one of the most targeted wide receivers in the NFL, not only for the Browns, and he was somewhat disappointing. But when that guy can avoid injury and avoid all the stupid distractions on the field and off the field, I feel like he is one of the top wide receivers, but he has a lot to prove this year.
And not only that, like they were, like ultimately Alex was saying, or what Josh was saying, Cleveland leads the league in commercials. They do, because OBJ's in a ton of commercials, and so is Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, it's true. Good stuff, Curtis. Anything else, buddy?
No, that's it, fellas.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate it. Use that second call here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right. All right, there. Good stuff there from Curtis from Newport Richie. Josh, I know you got to head out, so go ahead. Promote your new show. What are you working on next here, my friend?
Sorry about that abrupt leave there. We're working at home. My daughter walked in, she's crying. She just woke up from her sleep, so I had to go take care of that. But so I have the Audible next Wednesday, premiering on the sports on Bucs Report. Very excited about that. It's going to be from 8 to 9. I'm actually going to have a segment called 4-Point Stance. So what I'd like to happen is, if you're on Twitter, follow me at Joshua_C_Allen. Send me some questions that you'd like for me to answer, and I'll answer that in that segment. Or I'll have the Bucs Report throw up a article or a post, and you guys can ask me questions in there. I'll take 4 of those questions, and I'll put my stances and my opinions, and on those 4 stances. So kind of look some fan interaction. I'll be reading some comments on there. I'm very excited to launch it. I've got some good guests lined up for you guys. A couple of, national media members will be on down the road. Some NFL players for the Buccaneers, some of the guys I have, some other people, maybe some coaches or two from the Buccaneers working on that as well. So just, I'll still be on Peter's show. I still will be on Thursday Night Live with Charles Richardson every Thursday. But I'm excited about this new venture. And I hope you guys all come and check it out on Wednesdays, 8 to 9, starting next week. So I'm very excited about that.
All right, good stuff. We'll definitely keep on tuning in here on a Bucs Report, the Audible, next week at 8 o'clock. Thanks a lot for your time. All right, boss?
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
All right, good stuff there from Joshua Cole Allen. Let's go ahead, get Rick Hughes on here, one of the newest writers on a Bucs Report. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. How you doing?
Good, man. Good, Alex. Open up, man. You can't hold this stuff inside. It's going to kill you. If you don't open up, man, you cannot hold this inside like that.
I'll tell you what, really quick, I want to go to the webheads because I know they want to open up about some stuff here. But we got a phone line, so let's go out to the phone line. We'll get to the webheads in a minute. Matt Colson from Oklahoma City, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. What's on your mind, my friend?
I've been sitting here on my hands, not talking because I didn't want to say anything that was some kind of problem.
Oh, boy, here we go.
The guy that was just on here, the caller, who was talking about poor old Jameis and the lack of talent around him
Right.
versus Baker Mayfield.
Right.
That's a bunch of crap.
Well, look, now,
Baker
Matt,
Mayfield-
okay, Matt, I'm going to let you talk.
Let me say,
Okay.
I told you last year Baker was going to light the world up, and I was wrong.
Okay.
He took his ego, and he thought he was the next greatest thing and failed miserably. I'll give him that. Jameis, on the other hand, managed to do that. We haven't seen Baker do it yet. He could, but Jameis managed to waste talent for 4.5 years. Even though he didn't have a running back, he had the wide receivers. There are a hell of a lot of teams that could use a tight end and a wide receiver and a slot receiver. He had one that was pretty good for a while and do something with it. All Jameis could do was throw it to the other team 9% of the time and fail. And the guy has talent, and the guy's got an arm, and he's got a brain in his head. You were talking about Jamarcus Russell at the very beginning of the show.
Right.
Jameis, to me, and I've said it for 2 years, and everybody said, "Oh, quit it, you're just hating on him." But he is Jamarcus Russell. He had everything.
Oh, come on.
He did. He's got it all. Size, arm.
Let me have this, Alex.
Matt, come on. You're going on a tangent here. I'm going to have Rick Hughes, who just wrote an article on Jameis Winston. What was the article on? And you guys can go at this. But come on, DeMarcus Russell, Rick, go ahead. Do your best.
I mean, come on. To compare Jameis brought this team from where were we? We were the number 1 pick overall. We were horrible. And he brought us to mediocre. I mean, he did some amazing and wonderful things. He was fantastic. And then he did some horrible things.
Go ahead.
What's that?
What now, Matt?
He played in a game where we had over 500 yards of offense and a loss.
That's a lot of that's on coaching.
That wasn't on Jameis, buddy. I think it
No.
was Ryan Fitzpatrick who was starting in that game. If I'm not
But hold. Here's the thing. Jameis is, and this is what the article basically is about. Jameis is like your crazy ex-girlfriend. I mean, everybody's had that crazy ex-girlfriend. You know you had a great time. You know it was awesome. You know it was fun, and you also know you're going to end up with the cops in the driveway. That's how it's going to work out. It's going to go bad. It's going to go bad big time, but you're going to have a great time. It's going to be something you're going to remember. It's something you're going to look back later and go, I wonder if we could get back together. I mean, that's how it's going to happen. I mean, we've got Brady for a couple of years. Hopefully they're great years. What happens in 2 years? Who knows? But the bottom line is this. Jameis did some amazing things, and he sucked.
But did just as many equally stupid things.
Sure. Sure, no argument there, but to compare him to Jamarcus Russell, who did nothing?
Come on, man.
Really?
About physicality, I'm not really. I don't know how else to get that across to y'all, but the guy had everything handed to him. Jameis did.
I'm not ready. Look, I'm not ready, Matt, to say he had everything handed to him. He definitely had some weapons here, but did he have all the weapons in the world? Not in the least.
Tom Brady would have appreciated having the receiving core.
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why he didn't have everything here. Look at what the Bucs have done this year on this offseason, improving the offensive line and also trying to improve the running game. That will tell you everything you need to know. Did he have the talent on the outside? Absolutely. Did he hold the ball too long? We've talked about this over and over again. But to compare him to a quarterback that never seen the light of day, that didn't even read a playbook, come on, that's disrespectful, Matt.
Well,
Go back to Baker Mayfield now. Do you think he gets it done this year with all those weapons in Cleveland? And if he doesn't get it done, do you put him down as Jamarcus Russell?
Let me point something else out. Everybody looks at Jameis and acts like Jameis threw 30 interceptions every year. He didn't. He threw 30 last year. Prior to that, he wasn't throwing the ball away like that. Now, last year was so epic. When I say epic, I mean it was amazing how epic it was. He threw 7 pick sixes. Brady's thrown 8 in his career. Okay, so I hear you that he had a bad year. He had an amazing year, both. But oh, come on! I mean, that you just can't compare. You just can't draw that comparison. All you're saying
is disrespectful. It's straight disrespectful. First and foremost, offensive line gave up sacks left and right. He was the second most sacked quarterback behind Deshaun Watson. I coined the frame Watson because 2 years ago, he was sacked 5 times in a game, 8 times. Number 2, he didn't have a successful running game. Once Doug Martin went to Oakland, who did he have? Ronald Jones was pathetic his first year. Peyton Barber averaged 2.3 yards a carry. And last year, Rojo had to help on pass blocking, and he wasn't even a 1,000-yard rusher. He was a 734-yard rusher, with Peyton Barber taking up 340 yards. Let's talk about the offensive line. Do we need to talk about Donovan Smith? Better yet, do we need to remind people how bad DeMar Dotson was? Do we? Do we? He threw for 5,109 yards. He led the league. Oh, and by the way, if we had a kicker, we win the Giants game, we win the Titans game, and 1, 2, 3 missed kicks, we win the Atlanta game. Matt, what is your real intention on beating up Jameis when we are talking about Baker Mayfield? Do tell.
I was using it as a comparison between the two that were supposed to be number 1 picks, that were high end, ready to come in and play, plug and go, and they come out, both of them have come out to be a bust.
No, he's not a bust. He's not a bust. You can't call him a bust at this point. Do you realize how young he is? Yeah. I mean, I don't know that you realize how young he is. And really, when you say physically that they're comparable, Jamarcus Russell and Jameis, what do you mean?
Both can throw it 80 yards, right? I mean, that was the big Jamarcus Russell thing. He could throw it like a cannon.
Well, he was living off of physical talent. He was also living off the ability to play well in a bowl game, which, by the way, Brady Quinn also got drafted because of that bowl game. I believe they're against each other. And also because of the combine. A lot of people looked at him and saw the measurables and said, man, this guy can throw 70, 80 yards. But that does not win you football games. You heard from Chris Landry tonight. That doesn't win you football games. It's not all about the physical. It's about the mental. Yeah, you're acting like, again, Jameis Winston didn't have any success in the league. He did. Was he given every advantage? I don't think so. But was he given some opportunities? Absolutely. The Bucs turned the page. What's your point on Baker Mayfield? You guys, I want to hear what he has to say about Baker Mayfield because he's a big-time Baker Mayfield fan. Does Mayfield get it done this year for the Cleveland Browns? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. And why do you think that?
For one wide receiver, and Landry's trying to fix the boat, and it's leaking all over the place. And I don't think Baker wasn't that good here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he did well, but he's not a team player. He's a I'm the guy kind of player. He never got picked. He always came as a walk-on. He always came in and managed to get into position to play by being a walk-on. But there's a reason why he never got picked by any of these coaches. It's not like he went to some high school in the middle of Panama or something where nobody knew where he came from.
Sure.
They knew who he was, but his mind didn't run. And that
if I may interject, he was a number one pick a couple of years ago. I mean, Cleveland could have had Saquon Barkley, but they picked Baker Mayfield. Number two, he went to Texas Tech and then redshirted, left Texas Tech, and went to Oklahoma. He's that same douchebag who got arrested by police officers who tried to run from police officers.
Yes.
He's that same coward that flaunted the Oklahoma flag in the Oklahoma State Buckeyes stadium. And now all of a sudden he's the talk of the town in Cleveland because he looks like one of those guys that the owner's daughter could date. Could you please give half the energy that you have towards Winston to Baker Mayfield?
I still want to know the comparison, the physical comparison between Jamarcus and Jameis. I still want to know what that is.
Yeah, there's no really physical comparison there. So you think Mayfield doesn't get it done this year, and you think the Browns suffer and don't make it to the playoffs? Do you think he's a bust?
Baker?
Yeah.
If he doesn't get it done this year, he
Okay.
to me is just.
I think it's and Matt, stay on the line here. I think we all, because we're in this society where we want it now and we want it as fast as possible with everything and social media. We always put that bus label on somebody, and you're exactly right, Rick. You know, Jameis is already, seeing that bus label. People think he was a bust when he was drafted by the Bucs just because they're Gator fans, but they're already putting that bus label on him, and then on top of it, they're putting the bus label on Baker Mayfield. Some quarterbacks, guys, don't develop like everybody else. Like they just don't come off the bus and they're like, a superstar. It takes them some years and some things happen. Offensive coordinators are not there. You have multiple offensive coordinators. It stunts the growth. You don't necessarily have the key pieces. It stunts the growth. So I'm not ready to say that somebody's a bust. Alex Smith is a perfect example, right? Multiple offensive coordinators, never really successful. And then Jim Harbaugh comes on and really gets the most out of him. Now, did he ever develop into the number one overall pick like Aaron Rodgers did with winning a Super Bowl? Absolutely not. They're totally different quarterbacks. To me, Alex Smith is always a don't lose the game quarterback. But a lot of people viewed him as a bust until he was able to develop. And the way you develop is if you have that consistency and your coaching staff and you have the pieces around him. Would we all say here on this panel that Winston definitely suffered from the fact of this organization changing multiple coaches, changing offensive coordinators, and never having a running game? Is that fair?
Well, hold on. No, I'm not necessarily going to agree with that because you started. Who was his offensive coordinator?
Well, it was
Dirk Cutter.
Yes, he had Dirk Cutter until this current coaching staff. So right. I don't think he had a problem changing coaches. But I want to ask Matt something. Matt, we were terrible when we had the first pick in the draft. Who should we have drafted that year?
I can't even. Now that I see what happened with him.
Well, okay. Should we have drafted Mariota?
To me, at that time, yeah. And the reason wasn't
oh my God, he lost his starting job before Winston did. So come on.
Okay, well, just like Peter just said, the guy in Tennessee could have maybe done better under a different coaching staff.
So so who's the third?
Where's he at now?
Who's the third quarterback drafted? Who was the third quarterback drafted in that draft?
I don't even know. Who was the third quarterback in that draft?
Garrett Grayson went to New Orleans in the third round.
Ooh, Garrett Grayson. I remember.
Garrett Grayson. Now, guess what? He's not even in the league anymore. Sometimes you take the best option, even when there aren't fantastic options. But Alex, I know what you're thinking, and I'm hearing you thinking. You're thinking loud, and I think you're right. But because, I mean, the way that the way every quarterback that it seems like in this conversation is getting evaluated, it's funny. It's like, well, Baker, I kind of like Baker. Well, Mariota, he just didn't have a fair shot. Winston sucks. Jamarcus Russell sucks.
Hey, Rick, can you imagine what Jameis Winston could have done if he had a 1,400-yard rusher? I mean, think about all the times the turnovers wouldn't have happened, all the interceptions that wouldn't have happened, all the extra W's that would have happened if he would have had a 1,400-yard rusher.
We didn't have
the nerve to say that.
Here's the thing.
Pause. When he has no offensive line and no 1,000-yard rusher and 3 offensive coordinators and 3 coaches in 5 years, but yet he's a bust.
Matt, well, Matt, he kind of did, because here's the thing: when Lovie Smith was the coach, they had balance to their offense. Dirk Cutter got away with that when he was the head coach, and then he had Bruce Arians. I get what you're saying. It's always going to be a debate on this show between me and you. I just want to know when my omelet is coming up, because you owe me an omelet, because Winston was better than Mayfield last year, and that's it, buddy. Huh?
I guess he was.
I think he was, because you're
wait. Was Winston better than Mayfield last year? His record was better.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the
yards,
touchdowns. Come on, man. What is your measuring stick that you're comparing what Baker Mayfield did last year to Winston?
Winston didn't have the same amount of commercials, bro. Winston didn't have the same amount of commercials.
Will you shut up, Alex? All right. Good stuff, man. Anything else?
Well, I just wanted to answer Rick's question real quick.
Go for it.
The year that Jameis and Mariota were the number 1 and 2,
Mm-hmm.
and they were supposed to be equally number 1, it was just who wanted which one.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Everybody thought that was going to be the end game. Everybody thought that both of them were Hall of Fame quarterbacks just waiting for a locker. That's what they thought. And at the time, you asked me what I wanted. I thought that Winston was a poor personality type. I guess
Okay,
is the best way to put it.
That's fair, because of the decisions off the field, right?
I would have taken Mariota for that, just that alone, because of the fact you don't need the bullshit. That's why we don't need Antonio Brown.
Right.
It's that same kind of thing. That's the way my mind works. That's the way I would look at it if I was a general manager.
Okay.
They went a different way, and we took supposedly 1A and 1B. So we took Jameis, and it didn't work after the first year because we lost Doug Williams. Fine. But there's a lot of teams that don't have running backs. There's a lot of teams that don't have all the wide receivers.
Sure.
They either got a good running game and a good defense, and they can get to the playoffs, or they got a bunch of flying wide receivers, and they can get to the playoffs with that. Jameis had a little bit of both all the way through. The defense let him down the year before last.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive line was never good. But there's a lot of teams where they don't have good offensive lines. You just have to learn to get rid of the ball. Ask Tom Brady.
Sure.
So, in my mind, that's how I come to the conclusion that Jameis didn't work out the way he should have.
He didn't work out, but I don't think he's a. I think the bust term is a little bit.
I think it's pretty simple to say. If you look at Mariota and Winston, who's more likely to have a successful NFL career at this point?
Mariota's got a good chance in Oakland.
Well,
Vegas.
I don't know if there's a good chance in Oakland unless Derek Carr falls on his face or John Gruden decides to drive him crazy. But we'll definitely see that.
He snapped him up like a.
Alex, I'm dying for you.
I'm just curious who's going to take over when Drew Brees retires. Is it really going to go to the hands of a guy who threw for a total of 546 yards, or a guy who led the league in passing and is the all-time Tampa Bay Bucs leading passer with 19,737 yards? He took that contract to go to New Orleans for a reason. It's called a redemption song. While Mariota got put to the trash heap, and Tannehill got a $100 million contract. Let me make this simple for you, Matt Colson. One guy's riding the pint because someone took sympathy for him. The other guy picked up what Tampa didn't want and is going to use him and utilize him against his adversaries in 2021. Crush your enemies and see them driven before you. Now, do you really believe that Mariota is going to have a chance against Drew Lock, Herbert, and Mr. Patty Mahomes in 2021, or do you think they might be shopping for a quarterback when David Carr doesn't work out? In retrospect, what do you think is going to happen in 2021 when Drew Brees retires? Do you think Taysom Hill in his 546 yards is going to get the starting job, or are they going to give that to somebody who just had LASIK surgery, had 3 injuries last year, and is ready to have something to prove against people he played against? Use some common sense with your answer.
Remains to be seen. Matt, go ahead and I'll get you out of here. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I'm not. Alex is going to be mad, but I don't think Winston wasn't all that, or he would have gone somewhere and he'd got more than a 1-year contract.
Okay, that's
hold on. Let me go through a few quarterbacks, and you just tell me whether you think they're good or bad. All right, Matt?
Okay.
Joe Burrow.
Don't know who it is.
I mean, that's fair. He doesn't know who Joe Burrow is because he hasn't played in the league.
He was the number 1 draft pick this year.
Right, but he's unproven. That's what he's saying. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, this takes me away from where I was going then, because I was gonna get to
here's the point.
Clemson's quarterback. I was gonna get to.
Right.
I was gonna go to several different quarterbacks and just get I think he's good or gonna be good, or no, I don't think he's gonna be good, and I just wanted to see where that was gonna go.
Here's the point here, Matt and Rick. I know what Rick's getting to. Right. Joe Burrow was a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, and if people are expecting him to play at that same level with a new offense and a bad team around him, they're sadly mistaken. There's a lot of quarterbacks that come into the league as rookies and don't do well. Why? Because they get on bad teams. When Winston came to the Bucs, they weren't a great team. They did the best to build around him. Didn't necessarily build everything around him. Did they have weapons? Yes. Enough weapons? No. But the Bucs have definitely turned the page. Matt, thanks a lot for the call here on the Evolution. All right, my friend?
Yeah, I'm done with my beating. You guys have a good evening.
Matt, I love Matt. You know, he does take it in stride. Let's go out to the webheads here, and then we'll get the dude on. Thanks a lot for calling, Matt. I mean, he believes in what he believes. He stands by what he believes in. I can respect that. Let's see here. First and foremost, happy birthday to the Bucs Report's own Philip Schwegler.
Happy birthday, Philip.
Happy birthday, Philip.
Joshua Cole Allen and Alex, thanks for your input on my rookie draft pick from my Dynasty League. I went with Henry Ruggs III. Good look. Shooty shoots. Not a fan of these huge. What if Tom Brady never got to play a snap? That's crazy, right? I'm late, but I'm here. Let's go, Bucs. Bring your passion. Absolutely, Yash. Mr. Knowledge, a.k.a. Alex Fleming. Hello, everybody, says Ray Kennedy. Sup, Ray, says Johnny Dean. Dylan, how's it going, Ray? Gabe, how the hell did I lose connection on a landline? I have no idea, Gabe. You got to get that. You got to stop shopping at 7-Eleven for your cell phone. Sorry, bud. Hey, Josh, Alan, Curtis, we're going to hold off on the phone call. I'll get back to you in a moment. Want you to call in, but I got the dude, and I got to read these texts. So, Curtis, we'll get back to you. We'll get your call. Hey, Joshua Cole Allen, did you know who the Patriots picked with the Drew Bledsoe pick? We read that already. No calls right now, guys. Wait, we're going to read these comments first. Let's see. List of jokes about me so far. Crappy phone line, dramatic pause, calling Alex scary. Pretty sure more are coming soon. That's okay, Gabe. You and Matt from Oklahoma are our punching bags on the sports web, but we love you. All right, let's see here. What's up, y'all? I really do. I love everybody here. Honestly, it's nothing personal. It's just sports talk. And if you guys are taking it that seriously, just turn us off.
Oh, the dramatic pause is awesome. I think we all look forward to it.
And we do. Hey, Tampa Prep, I was late, bro.
All right, Alex. Now he's scared because it's you and me, because he froze, I guess. So.
Oh no! Should I not be in the middle? Should the chocolate filling not be in the middle?
We should switch.
Oh, Dylan says, no, we're good. I love Mostart. Will you shut up? What are the thoughts on the Sean Jackson situation, Alex and Josh? Let's, I tell you what, let's save that. I know Curtis and Gabe, you wanted to call in, so hold off for your calls. Let's go out to the dude here because I definitely want to get his intro on and see what he has to say. So here we go. Here's the dude. All right, there you go. We got the dude on. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. What's on your mind, my friend? Well, and he hasn't muted himself, so I don't know what's going on here. Stand by. I got his intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, hey, I'm here. Patience, my friend. I'm allowed to start with a dramatic pause. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, let me point out something that's a little troublesome. Matt. In a total of 3 sentences, you try to compare Jameis Winston to Jamarcus Russell. I'll circle back to that. And then you tried to go the opposite way and compare him to what Brady could do. That doesn't seem legit. But let's unpack the Jamarcus Russell. Jamarcus Russell couldn't pass an exam in college. Jamarcus Russell scored like a single digit on the Wonderlic test. Jamarcus Russell had more yards going back and forth to the Cheesecake Factory than Jameis Winston had in his first game. Okay? Now, let's stop for a second. It's funny that every time you compare Jameis Winston to what you perceive as a bust, that it's always Jamarcus Russell. What about Ryan Leaf? What about Johnny Manziel? Why no talk about that? I think we all know. Let me point out something to you. Okay? Jameis Winston was accepted academically to Stanford. Jamarcus Russell cannot spell cat. You're comparing apples to oranges, or in this case, Ivy League school participants to, well, a high school dropout. But we know why. We're not going to address why, but the gentleman up in the upper right-hand corner, he feels me too. I get it. It's part of how you think, but maybe that's the problem. Maybe the problem of associating the word bust with a guy who rose to the pinnacle of the college game, was taken first overall, went on to a team that had an aging veteran wide receiver, a crappy offensive line, a defense that made Barry Rude look like a good tackler.
Yeah. And
you're going to go ahead and say, well, he had all the weapons. All right, so let's unpack this for a minute, bro. The comparison to Baker Mayfield. I'm pretty sure Baker Mayfield has every skill position set for him. Jameis Winston had Vincent Jackson and, shall we say, or dare I say, a drugged-up Doug Martin. You conveniently leave out the fact that Jameis Winston is only one of two Buccaneers quarterbacks to have a winning record in one season in the last decade. Oh, did we forget about all that stuff? Okay. The hate for Jameis, I understand. You either like him or you don't. But when you try to put bust on a man whose records go through the Buccaneer organization, and he holds several, more than a handful, nearly a dozen NFL records, well, you kind of just look like a clown. Now, Gabe. I understand it's a lonely existence, bro. But we appreciate the interaction. We appreciate the content. But realize all these people are clowning you guys, you and Matt, for a reason. Okay? It's very seldom on this show that we have guests that can't contain themselves from laughing. Yet, here you two come, and you manage to get into the crack up every time. Now, realize they're not laughing at your punchline. They're laughing at you because you're the punchline. So, anybody that wants to say Jameis Winston is a bust either doesn't know football or has an ulterior motive. Now, totally off subject, but more of a speaking to the fan base. Okay? We saw a team announce today they're going to have 14,000 fans in the stands. We now see people yelling and screaming, it's not fair, it's not fair. All right, newsflash. I don't care if you paint your face in makeup. I don't care if you wear a costume. I don't care if you've been to every Buccaneer game since the Buccaneers started. This isn't about fair. This is a pandemic. This is health issues. And we're not talking about one person getting sick. We're talking globally millions. And if you want to watch football, realize you're going to have to do it from the comfort of your own home. If not being able to go to a game is going to make you so upset that you're going to post on social media how you're done with the NFL and all this other bullshit that we hear, I'll say this to you. You said the same thing during the Nike. You said the same thing when Kaepernick kneeled. You said the same thing back in the 70s. You said the same thing back in the 60s and 50s when they started letting more black players in. Maybe the problem is you, not the NFL. That said, we here at Bucs Report have a stupendous staff. That's not a Leo word. That's a dude word. We got Rick, who brings levity and brings a lot of knowledge that I don't think anybody's tapped into yet. Alex he's the flamethrower. Peter Blake is Peter effing fucking Blake. Sorry about that. If you're going to come on the show and say something ignorant, we're going to laugh and we're going to play around. But if you continue saying it ignorance and you continue doing it, and we try to talk to you and we work it down to, well, we know what the real reason is, it makes you look bad, and it makes us look bad for giving you a voice. We give you a voice so you can be heard. We don't give you a voice so you can spread some bullshit bias because you don't like a guy. Here's the fact. For everybody that hates Jameis Winston, for everybody that doesn't like what he has or hasn't done, and I think we all know who I'm directing this at. This kid came from a very, very, very poor family. He worked his ass off to hone his skill as a football player and baseball player. He made sure his grades were always good. He made sure, whether you want to believe it or not, that he didn't have a criminal record, which he does not. And he goes to one of the major colleges and succeeds in an undefeated season, Heisman Trophy, took down the big bad boy in the SEC in the process. Then he gets drafted by the Bucs, and half of you people already hate him because, well, I don't know why. I think, well, he made some bad decisions. Matt, every time you call, it seems like it's a bad decision, bro. Okay? We don't judge you. We keep taking the call. My question is, why can't you open your mind to the fact that you just don't like him, and that's fine, but you should keep some things to yourself. Now, the dude has been on the phone all day. His voice is fried, as you can tell.
Yes.
But I'll say this one more thing. The group of guys who are bringing you this content on this show, the written content you see below you on the Facebook page and below you on the Twitter field, below you on YouTube, the videos, the interviews, everybody from the youngest guy we got on staff or part of Bucs Report at 16 years old to guys who are in their 60s and been in the business for decades. Okay? Realize right now we are giving you quality entertainment, quality content. We're giving you something to talk about, giving you something to think about in a world where there is literally nothing in sports to talk about. So when you tune in, do so with a little love, do so with a little respect, but mostly, like Peter says, bring your passion, bring your excitement, but leave that bullshit out of here, man.
I think it's nonsense.
I'm not sure that's what Peter said.
Yeah, we'll take that. Thanks a lot, dude. The dude abides. Thanks a lot for coming on the Sports Web. Of course, open phone line 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. Join the 65,000 following we have here on Facebook, of course, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and of course, part of the Chris Landry Football Network, LandryFootball.com on Twitch tonight. So definitely get in. Let's go back out to the comments, and then we'll get to you guys. I want to get to this Deshaun Jackson type of stuff because I know it is very controversial. But I guess we got to take the call, and this is Matt Colson and his retort. Matt, go ahead, buddy. Welcome back to the Evolution. What's on your mind?
I get a minute to defend myself real quick.
Go for it, buddy.
I never intended to imply anything about Jameis Winston being black is the reason why I don't.
We didn't say that.
Keith did.
We never said that.
We never said that, buddy. We just think you don't personally like him, and that's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but I don't understand why. But go ahead, go for it.
Well, I don't know how else to say it. If I offended anybody, I'm sorry, but I didn't intend to come off like some kind of racist thing. That's the 180 degrees from where I stand.
Okay.
And I think you and I,
Matt, you never said that you were scared of me, so you know what? I forgive you.
Alex, I respect you. I think I've told you that in Facebook posts on several occasions.
Yes.
That I do have respect for you, and I think that you're doing things that are making you better and coming up in the world. And you said you haven't succeeded yet, but you're going to keep striving at it. That was the quote, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably in one of those Facebook posts that Blake Anthony put out, because I do follow those every day. The point of the matter is, I don't care if you're purple. It doesn't matter to me. That doesn't have a thing to do with my thought processes. The reason I brought up Jamarcus Russell is because in my mind, that was the worst quarterback that I can remember in history. Ryan Leaf was too, but he didn't play very long. And there was a couple other people like that.
Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel was one. I mean, there's plenty. There's a litany. There's a litany of them.
Joey Harrington. He's another Oregon quarterback.
Yes, Joey Harrington.
I'll quit calling and talking about James because he doesn't play for us anyway. So it's not part of the Bucs report that he's got anything to do with it. But I call you because I want the interaction, because it keeps me close to home, and because I have some kind of way that I can keep up with the home team that I grew up with since their inception back in 1977.
Okay.
My politics are way.
Matt, all BS aside, I actually like your phone calls.
So do I.
I mean, me of all people, I like your phone calls.
No, I like your phone calls too, Matt. And even though we don't agree, we don't always see eye to eye. I can respect.
We don't have to agree.
Right, we don't. You're exactly right. We don't, and that's what we try to provide here. I know you're in Oklahoma City. I know you're a big time Bucs fan. We try to give you that Bucs content. We also try to give you around the NFL content, and don't ever be scared to talk about something. I kind of try to stay out of that political realm because, it's just to me, I'm a sports broadcaster. Nobody cares about my politics. Nobody really cares about anybody's politics on this show. Again, we've kind of discussed this. We try to talk as much sports and take your mind off of what's going on. We try to take your mind off of that Facebook feed and off of.
You're managing to keep things going when there's nothing going on.
Right. Well, that's what I do, man. I'm the guy that's I'm playing the music when the Titanic is going down, but we're not on Titanic. We're on Bucs Report here, buddy, where you get an opportunity to talk and say whatever you want to, and we agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, what I've always said on the sports web, we walk away as friends and we don't hold it. There's nothing personal here, man. I get what you're saying. So.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that because it I guess to say the word, it upset me. That's kind of fair.
Okay.
I look at things apparently the dude thinks that I do, and that's the way it is. I really don't. I don't like the implications he put out.
Okay.
Whether he said it directly or indirectly, that's the way I interpreted what he said.
Okay.
So if I'm wrong, then that's just me. But I don't have a problem.
Okay.
The problem is the player that I was talking about. The comparison I made had nothing to do with pigmentation. It had to do with the fact that, in my eyes, Jamarcus Russell's the worst quarterback that played in the NFL in recent years.
Yeah.
And that was what I was getting at.
Okay.
So,
fair enough.
All right.
I hope you guys have a good night. And, I'll be listening tomorrow.
Matt, we'll be here for you 5 days a week, my friend. Every night we'll be talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2 nights a week, Tuesday and Thursday. We'll try to devote more of that to the NFL. But as you notice, every night here on the Sports Web, we talk around the NFL because Bucs fans are not just welcome here on Bucs Report. Every fan is welcome here on Bucs Report. And, of course, the evolution of sports talk television. So thanks a lot for your time, boss. All right? Appreciate you.
Have a good night, Peter.
All right, buddy. I appreciate him. I do appreciate him. We don't see eye to eye, but that's okay. That's all right. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the flamethrower himself of Curb Talk, which is on Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock. That would be Mr. Alex Fleming. And, of course, one of our newest writers here, Mr. Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats. Let's go back out to the webheads. Curtis, call back in. I'll put you on hold. I want to read these comments from these guys.
And what about Trump? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Now, Rick.
Well, let's not start this, Alex. Alex, no. Just say no. Not on this show. No. All right. I want to see Curtis debate Alex on Alex's Saturday show. I know you guys seen Ronald Jones working out, running up hills and mountains in 104 degrees. Wow. All right.
I haven't seen that video.
I'm going to hold off on the calls. We're going to wait for Curtis to call up, and then we'll get on there. I haven't seen that either. Whether he's built like that, he's definitely put on weight. Walter Payton Workout Book 101. Absolutely. Jerry Rice, I think, did that too.
Yeah, Jerry's one.
Players don't even work out in the offseason and are still ready to go for training camp. All right, let's go on to my man Curtis here. Welcome back to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Curtis from Newport Richey, one of my favorite callers here on the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Alex Fleming and the newest writer on Bucs Report from the cheap seats, Rick Hughes. Go for it.
All right, I just want to address Matt. Matt, listen. I love a nice disagreement, okay? And nobody's mad at you. Listen, there is plenty of times where I watch Bucs games on Sunday and I hate Jameis Winston's guts.
Well, I mean, you know what? Here's the thing. There's a lot of people out there that hate players, but really, Curtis, we have to put this in perspective because we watch sports all our lives. And they don't know us. They don't owe us any money. They're not paying it. But I get it. When you're a fan, you definitely are disappointed that your team's losing. And sometimes, you know, as sports broadcasters or sports fans, we put it on one player, and that's not necessarily always fair. Like I said, it goes back to society's norms where, you know, you expected, he got drafted number 1, Joe Burrow, 50 touchdowns at LSU. He's going to lead him to the Super Bowl. No, it doesn't work like that because coaches aren't always the right fit to develop that quarterback. That quarterback doesn't always develop overnight. It takes some time. And then on top of it, by the way, like Leo used to, that says all the time, Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member, the other guys get paid too. Go ahead, Curtis.
Well, okay. What I also want him to remember is that after Vincent Jackson retired, and before we signed Deshaun Jackson, he not remember guys like Freddie Martino and Jermaine.
Freddie Mercury? You're talking about there? Freddie Mercury on the field. I mean, Freddie Martino, who knows him? You know, yeah.
And you had guys like him and Jermaine Dye. Like, where are these guys at now?
Bernard Reedy, he's doing great work with, you know, taking elderly patients out in wheelchairs, but is he a wide receiver? Okay, look, I appreciate it, but is he really a top flight wide receiver? That's what you got to work with there. So I mean,
that's what I wanted to say to Matt, man. It's all in good fun, man.
Sure.
Sometimes you just got to look at the team, man.
Right.
Dude, he didn't have top flight receivers all around him. You know, OJ Howard's been hurt for half his career.
Yep. OJ has definitely been somewhat disappointing to a certain degree.
And
I think OJ's allergic to pigskin because he didn't know how to catch it.
Easy, Alex.
He should allergic to pigskin. He went to Alabama.
Oh, you guys. You know what? I'll tell you right now.
OJ
was
he's vaccinated or something because he can't catch it.
Well, look, I'm not ready to give up on OJ Howard. I get it if you're going to trade him.
Not either.
I think he could have a breakout year, guys. And the great thing about this is having Gronk in that tight end room. He'll get the most out of those tight ends. He'll show them how to be professionals. And then on top of it, just because there's supposedly some defensive coordinators not looking at him as a number 1 weapon, so I don't believe that. But if you do double up on Gronk and you go to that 12 personnel or that 13 personnel, I definitely think Howard and Brait will get a lot of opportunities, especially Howard. And don't forget, he was a number 1 pick for a reason. He's got to work on his blocking. He's got to get more consistent. But even Chris Landry of Chris Landry Football told you here a couple of weeks ago, what he's really got to work on is he's got to get off. He's got to get off of that bump and run. There's some really good stuff there a couple of weeks ago about OJ Howard you have to check out.
And the last thing I have to say is, you know, don't forget we had a diva named Deshaun Jackson who took plays off, and anytime he could get the ball when he wanted it, he cried.
Yes.
Curtis, we're getting to him. We're getting to him. Please believe that. Can I ask you a question, Curtis?
Go for it.
Yes, sir.
Do I have dolphin teeth?
No, man. You're all right. You good, man. No, man.
You shut up, Alex. All right, Curtis, why do you even answer that question? Why do you even entertain him sometimes? I'll tell you right now.
Because you guys entertain me, so I got to entertain you.
Good. I'm glad, Curtis. Anything else, buddy?
Well, that's it, brother.
All right,
y'all
man.
take it easy.
Do I have dolphin teeth? Would you shut up and be quiet?
You know,
the evolution. Go ahead, Rick.
With Jameis, 2 words: Aurelius Ben. Didn't he have him in his first year?
Oh no,
University of Illinois.
You're thinking of Joshua Freeman. Josh Freeman.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we're not going to put all that on Jameis now. You had Vincent.
I wasn't blaming Jameis. I was kind of giving him a way out.
Yeah. Aurelius Ben, he couldn't even stay healthy when it was on this team. All right, let's go back out to the WebEds, and then we will get to the most controversial subject here in the last couple of days with Mr. D-Jax, Sean Jackson, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Now, you want to talk about a bust? That's a bust. All right? That's a bust and a half. When you talk about free agent pickups by the Bucs, that is probably the single-handedly worst move the Bucs ever made into Sean Jackson. But his roommate there that came with him, Chris
Vernon Hargraves.
I do not. I don't know. And Fitzmagic could throw to him
for two games, and then after that he disappeared. He took his money and he ran, just like he did last year with the Eagles. So we'll get to him in a moment. Let's go out to the WebEds here. Some players don't even work out in the offseason, are still ready for camp. He's grinding for sure. Just got to see it translate on the field. Best virtual edits. It has to translate on the field. Absolutely. I feel like Rojo has shown what he can do. I feel like he will be even better having a better explosive back behind him. Tampa Prep. Yeah, Rojo has definitely shown what he can do. People in Tampa know his pass blocking there. Curtis brought the ice and froze Peter. The worry of the pass blocking abilities here, I could not really say I don't care, but we should be able to protect Brady. You have to protect Brady.
And I'm going to point something out again.
Mm-hmm.
Our offensive line was ranked 8th last year, and you had a quarterback who held the ball too long. That says something. The offensive line, I'm not saying it didn't need work. Thank God we got Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah.
But we had a quarterback who held the ball for a minute and a half, and we were still the 8th ranked offensive line. So, and I just talked about, you just read a comment about Rojo, and I think Keyshawn Vaughn is going to be the surprise of the year. I really think he's going to be the surprise of the year. This guy, if you watch his highlight reel, it's not just him. I mean, he has a lot of home runs on his on his highlight reel, but they're not all just running. He's catching dump off passes. He's catching screens. He's catching everything that's tailor made for Brady. So
Rick, when I met him at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, so many other running backs were getting so much attention. He got next to no press coverage. When I got to interview him, he just gave off this type of chi where he knew what he could do. Yeah. If anybody needs to have a recollection of how good this cat is, Vanderbilt is in the SEC. All right, forget whatever the hell you heard. His best game was against LSU. Last time I checked, LSU won the national championship. He runs 4.5140. He salivates when he sees a 5-man front because he only has a linebacker and a safety to beat. He is the best kept secret, and I hope and pray Bucs fan keeps sleeping on.
All right,
I agree, Alex. I really believe this guy is the guy everybody needs to. Well, I maybe we shouldn't pay attention to him. Let him sneak up on people, but I think he's the surprise of the year. I think
people don't listen to me. People don't listen to me. I tried to talk to them. They don't listen to me.
I'm listening to you right now, but we got to go out to the phone lines here. Let's go out to Johnny Dean, the professor. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Alex Fleming, who you have to listen to. We all listen to because he's the flamethrower here of Fantasy Turf Talk on Saturdays at 10 a.m. And, of course, Rick Hughes, one of our newest writers here on Bucs Report from the cheap seats. Go ahead, Johnny Dean.
Alex, with that shaved head, when you smile, you definitely have that dolphin vibe going.
You know what? You got to egg him on, didn't you, Johnny Dean? You had to do it.
I had to.
Okay. All right.
Well, there's nothing intimidating about Flipper. You know, Flipper's not scary. So.
Yes, but you do know that the Dolphins have sex with us.
Oh, God. What? What did you just say? What?
Isn't this more like a Friday night call?
I feel like it is. I mean, it's just all over the place. We're on the Chris Landry network, by the way. Go ahead.
Because you guys mentioned Aurelius Ben. And I had a little tidbit for you here.
Sure. Give me the tidbit.
You realize Aurelius Ben was the last Buccaneer player to have a national commercial out when he was doing the Under Armour stuff with the new uniforms and stuff. He was the last Buccaneer to ever be seen on a national commercial.
Really?
Really?
Huh.
Really?
Well, he was not seen with the Bucs, that's for sure. I think he made a couple plays, and that was it. Him and Mike Williams. Mike Williams had a spectacular beginning of his
like
career.
NFL hype videos for
Mhm.
the guys who were supposed to be. I can't remember who he was out there with.
Okay.
They had all the teams like their best players, and Aurelius Ben was supposed to be our best player. They had him out there, whereas Under Armour turned into like reptile skin on him and stuff because of his speed. Remember, Aurelius Ben was a fast dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a fast dude. He definitely was athletic, had a lot of athleticism. He just couldn't stay healthy.
There
He had
were a
knee
lot of
problems.
high expectations for him.
Yep.
And he went Johnny Manziel on us.
Molly, you just couldn't.
Okay, so wait a minute, Johnny. So looking at the NFC South, Carolina had Schmitty and Superman and Cam Newton. New Orleans had Drew Brees and Marcus Colston and Mark Ingram. ATL had that fluke, Matt Ryan and Julio. And Tampa had Aurelius Ben.
Right.
That tells you the state of the franchise for the last.
Well,
20
it was
years.
Josh Freeman. And Freeman made the best out of it with an Aurelius Ben and a Sam Trotter and a Mike Williams. Yeah, exactly. Josh Freeman, who was the last one to have a winning record besides Jameis Winston, 10-6 in 2010.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So good stuff, Johnny. Anything else?
That's it, bud.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. There you go. Open phone line, but let's read these webhead comments, and then we will get to the Deshaun Jackson. Like I said, there really is no strategy to this show. We just kind of throw it against the wall, and whatever happens. All right. So just bear with me. Dean, you shouldn't really, but it's okay. We'll be fine. Let's see here. We will have to see about the line, but I feel much better about it this year, better than last year. Okay, Ben Cornett says, caption Alex's look while listening to Matt Colson right now. Tampa Prep. These webheads must love Winston. Just marry him. Wow. Already marriage proposals here from the webheads. I don't think anybody loves Winston. They just respect the fact of what he did with the Bucs. Again, Bucs have turned the page with Tom Brady, but we still talk about it here. But let's be respectful. Don't compare him to Mr. Purple Drank, Purple Drank, as somebody who couldn't read a damn playbook. Ben.
Drank.
Ben, when the good points you make get torn apart. Let's see. Johnny Dean at Ben Cornett. It's epic. What's up, R. Horton? How you doing? Welcome. Alex ready to school Colson here. Let's see here. Tampa Prep Mayfield won't get it done. Dylan. Best virtual edits video online plays a huge part in it. Just want to see Rojo put it all together. Dylan, pass blocking was very inconsistent. I really do think this will be his year. Ben Cornett, waiting for Matt to say, now Jameis, for example, Baker will get it done this year in that division. Wow. All right, Alex comments, searching. Hey, Johnny says, Tracy, he went to Oklahoma because he got beat out by Mahomes at Texas Tech. Tracy says hello to BVE. There you go. Dirk Gutter says Ben Cornett, trolling at 1,000 like always been. Good stuff. Hello, Tracy. Best virtual edits video. All I know is Ronald Jones is a Buccaneer running back for the future. Johnny Dean says hello back. I could imagine he could have that, but the offensive line is the weak link. Dirk Gutter, I want to copyright that at Ben Cornett. Tampa Prep. You could have an average running back and be solid with a great offensive line. You need trenches always. Tampa Prep 100. Gabe, Pat Mahomes wasn't there until Baker left. Ben Cornett, Johnny Dean, I get 50% royalties on that. 40%, 50, says Ben Cornett as the debate rages on between Ben Cornett and Johnny Dean. Baker gets baked too much. Laugh out loud. Good stuff, Christopher. Tampa Prep with the eyes. Robert Horton, Mayfield versus Winston. Not even close every day and twice on Sunday. Winston. Tom Arnold. I mean, Rick is starting to get annoyed with Matt here. Wow. Tom Arnold, Rick Hughes. I mean, look, hey, Rick, do you have
Tom Arnold?
Do you have a Roseanne Barr in your life? Because
I just want to know, can I have his money?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He always admits to that. That's his biggest accomplishment in his life, marrying Roseanne Barr. and then basically taking half. And then did he take half? I don't know, but he was known for marrying Roseanne Barr. And then he had some pretty good movies and stuff like that. 35% I do the marketing and pay the cost. Congrats. He gives the Browns a game-winning pick 6, says Gabe. 50%. Mike, Winston all day. Johnny Dean, Ben Cornett, lousy negotiation skills, bro. Laugh my ass off. Sean, you do know who Joe Burrow is, says Mike. Bucs report, Winston beat the Browns. That he did. No, our kicker won that game for us. The dude abides. Happy birthday, Mr. Chef himself, Philip Schwegler, one of the best chefs out there. Ever try his prime rib? It's unbelievable. Alex and Rick, who has the better career, Sam Darnold or Dwayne Haskins?
Haskins. And I know why, and I can tell you why, and I can prove it why.
Okay.
All right. Dwayne Haskins has to deal with Dallas and Philadelphia. They're going through a complete metamorphosis. To hell with all of these Washington fans who want to keep the name. The name's leaving. Let's leave that out. He's got Antonio Gandy Golden, who last year, his senior year at Liberty, had 10 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards receiving. He's got the Swiss Army knife, Antonio Gibson. He was a running back who wound up in the slot and beat the second and third cornerbacks. Bro, he picked up Thaddeus Moss. This is a guy with the body of a tight end who runs like a wide receiver. He picked up Chase Young in the draft. Ron Rivera is going to have a San Francisco-type front line who's already Alabama and Big Ten. I'm telling you, not this year, next year. Watch for those Washington Red Tails, Red Wolves, whatever it is. But it's not the Red.
Okay. All right, Alex. Rick, do you believe Sam Darnold or Dwayne Haskins?
What he said. Actually, I think he probably put it better than I could. Sam Darnold, have the Jets ever been good?
Well, I think a lot of people, I mean, when Joe Namath was there, I mean, there's a couple. Joe Namath with the guarantee. How long?
Was good.
68, 69?
Yeah, that was, okay. So you want to go back then. But you know, the red stuff have
tails.
Red tails. There you go. They have I mean, they'll get it back together if Daniel Snyder doesn't mess it up. If Daniel Snyder doesn't mess it up.
Okay, well, that's a big if. Let's see there. Whomever the hell it was. Dude, says Gabe. Matt Colson. I can't believe
Rick,
you just called me.
I didn't even mention Scary Terry, who was the 32nd ranked wide receiver last year, and he was a rookie. Now, think about that. Every team has at least two. At least. All right? At least. 32 teams, at least 2 wide receivers. And he was the 32nd ranked wide receiver as a rookie. So if he wasn't going to big put on notice, you got to notice Scary Terry. That offense is going to be explosive. Plus, you got the ageless wonder of Adrian Peterson because you can't rely on Darius Geis out of LSU because he's forever hurt. The running game is legit. Bryce Love isn't even being utilized in that offense yet. Bro, Washington is coming.
All right.
Billy's going, so I'll buy that.
Jameis Winston as a bust of Drew Brees, I bet. Johnny Dean laughing there. I am bothered, or if I am not bothered or offended by them laughing at me, I'm fine with it. I just was listing off things they were laughing at just for reference. Robert, great work, the dude. Let's see. Got a feeling the dude will call back soon. Ben says, let's see. Tim Couch, that's another one. Yep, that was a number 1 overall pick out of Cleveland where quarterbacks go to die. Rick stirring the pot. I think if the dude talks anymore, his voice will be gone. Christopher says Winston is a baller, but he did have to take chances. Absolutely did take some chances. I want Ono out of Tampa. Who is that? Ono. I don't know. Well, get it done. Damn, Peter, not get it done. All right. I figured that's what you meant. I hate when he misreads my comment and makes it completely opposite of what I said. Laugh my ass off. I agree for sure. Nitro Nick and Big Board both said Darnold. When has Snyder not messed up? Good point. Gabe says Jets were good in 2015 when Fitz actually did have a. Well, now you're confusing franchises. I don't think it was. Was Fitzpatrick good with the Jets? I don't think he was good.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. They went 6-10. So if you want to consider that good, I got some oceanfront property in Idaho to sell you.
There you go. Plus Riverboat Ron. I don't know. Darnold maybe gets it done because he has Frank Gore. They have some weapons there, but with Adam Gase, I don't necessarily think.
Peter,
yeah.
Did you say old Methuselah Frank Gore is going to save Darnold? Really?
He's still a pretty good quality running back now. He can still get it done. They still have Le'Veon Bell. That should take the pressure off of Bell.
First running back with a walker.
Here's what I'm talking about. Is Le'Veon Bell going to have a run over 20 yards? Because he hasn't had one of those in 2 years. Do you trust Denzel Mims, the rookie out of Baylor, or Brashard Perriman more? Let me ask you that. Can you name a tight end for the Jets? Better yet, is it Ryan Griffin, Peter Griffin, Peter, Ryan? I don't know. They can't stay healthy. Oh, and then here's the big one.
Yeah.
Never mind Miami that's coming next year. Never mind Joshua Allen and all the boys that are already there. Never mind the redemption song of Cam Newton and the Patriots. Adam Gase. Let me tell you, Adam Gase. Woo!
All right, so you convinced me. Dwayne Haskins it is. All right, let's talk about something a little controversial. We got to be quick on it because we got to be out of here. It's not midnight. It's actually 11:50 something. So we're on the Chris Landry Football Network, so I want to make sure that we get this cleared and out of here as soon as possible. Of course, we want to make sure we have as much content as humanly possible. Deshaun Jackson. That's been the big-time controversy, some very controversial comments. He's apologized for it, but, I'm not going to go into the length of them. If you want to Google it, you can, but, anti-Semitic, he apologizes for it. Some people are definitely calling for his firing. Even Steven Jackson today, which I feel like I should create a segment called Would You Shut Up? Because here's what he had to say. I didn't support the post as far as Hitler and him supporting Hitler. I don't support Hitler. How many times can he say Hitler in a sentence? He just said it about 4 or 5 times. I don't know nothing about Hitler. I could give a F about Hitler. Continues to say Hitler. All I know is he was a cruel guy.
He was a cruel guy. Pope's a little Catholic.
He was a cruel guy. No, he was a dictator. He killed millions of people. What are you talking about? Okay. We won't stop there with Steven Jackson, former NBA player, which he's not a very good speaker at this point, not in PR at least.
Can I speak on this a little bit, Peter?
Let me go ahead and finish this tirade by Steven Jackson. I don't stand for that. I don't support it. My whole reason for supporting D-Jax was before I got an Instagram, he called on the phone and told me that they were threatening to fire him, but they didn't do that to Riley Cooper. And I was like, you're right. You shouldn't have to apologize if we didn't make him apologize. That's not true. He did apologize for it. He was fined, although, to be fair, he was also given a contract extension in 2014.
Yeah.
He was cut in 2016. And with the social climate right now, it's terrible timing by Deshaun Jackson and even worse by Steven Jackson here. Are they brothers? I don't know. Go ahead and take care of this for me, Alex Fleming.
I want to touch on Steven Jackson, and then I'm going to get back to Facebook and how some people can be hypocrites. Mm-hmm. Now, Steven Jackson finished it up by saying this because you got a lot of people who got an agenda, whether they be Black, Hispanic, Native American right now, or definitely Jewish. Because I personally was attacked when I said that I wasn't that offended with what he said. I didn't agree with what he said, but all of a sudden when you say that, you have people from certain communities who want to put you on a tribunal. So let me put this to rest. Steven Jackson also said, to whom it may concern, your race's pain doesn't hurt more than the next race's pain. Don't act like your hardships are more devastating than ours. And you wonder why we are fighting for equality. Common sense ain't common. Truth hurts. Never waste time explaining to people who never supported you anyway. Free game. Now, let me be completely honest. I don't agree with the damn word that Deshaun Jackson posted. He should have known better. He knows better. Do I compare this to what Drew Brees said? Drew had horrible timing. I will continue to say that Drew had horrible timing. Now, Deshaun didn't say this. He hosted this. And since then, the Philadelphia Jewish community has reached out and offered to work with Deshaun Jackson, and an Auschwitz survivor has offered a formal invitation to speak with Deshaun Jackson. He's already apologized twice. As far as I'm concerned, this issue is null and void. But look for the social justice warriors and all those upset people who a lot belong in Hollywood to try to persecute this man. Back the hell up. What happened in the 1940s, what's happened in the past 436 years, what happened with the slave mentality, and what happened in Israel is all in the past. So who the hell are you to say that what happened to you was worse than what happened to me or what happened to Asians in the concentration camps? We're too damn sensitive.
Well, I definitely think we're too sensitive, but I think the comments are ridiculous, especially when he's trying
absolutely.
to quote
Absolutely.
Hitler. He's not even correct on that, and just putting out there, and then Steven Jackson doubling down. Rick, there's really nothing the NFL can do about Steven Jackson, but Deshaun Jackson, I mean, we always talk about when talent supersedes the distraction. You know, he didn't play a lot of games last year. He came in on $4.8 million. That's how much he's guaranteed. Could you see the Eagles, because of the PR nightmare and because of the firestorm from social media, where he eventually could get cut?
Look, before I get into that, let me just say this real quick. I don't care if you're Drew Brees. I don't care if you're Deshaun Jackson, Steven Jackson. I don't care who you are. Can't you just be decent to other people? Can't you just think about other people? Can't you just try to be considerate of other people? Can't you? I mean, this is not that hard. It's just not that hard. And over and over and over, it's you can't fix stupid, okay? And I don't care. Look, every single one of us has said something stupid at some point in our life. Doubling down on it is a bad thing. Apologizing, great. The apology's done. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready. I just don't. I wish athletes would stop before they speak. Stop and think before they speak or press enter. We've all done it.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of us is also at one point in our life, you've said something stupid. Somebody calls you on, you start defending it, and the next thing you know, you're in an argument defending something you don't even believe.
I did it last year when I said the Bucs would have 10 wins. I mean, I do it time on the sports web sometimes.
It's basic and it's simple. We're all humans. Everybody's trying. And this whole gotcha cancel culture and gotcha media, who once you do say something wrong, they're gonna it's a feeding frenzy.
Yep.
And
Rick, I don't understand why we're holding athletes to a higher standard than we do our politicians and senators.
Well, I tell you what, that's another
for Saturday morning.
That's another show.
Yeah.
Get out of here on this. Go ahead, Alex. Let me promote yourself here, my friend. Great job, as always, on the sports web. Go ahead, my friend.
Hope I look shiny. Florida Sun Review, Central Florida's oldest black living newspaper. It's July, so it's time for me to start writing some sports articles, even though there's no sports going on. I do that for you and myself. Think about that. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., The Stew, Sports Talk Unfiltered, where you're not going to get the nice or legit me. I might be a little bit scary. Turf Talk, Saturdays, politics, sports. They've already fused. I couldn't have had better timing, and I got some fire this week. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I told you about Mississippi. The W, 40 is still the new 20. I look great. I'm not quite 40 yet, but I'm getting there, and I look good. Yes, you do not want these hands. I'm trying to tell you. Still got love for the Truth Serum football. We got a raffle going on. We're giving away helmets and memorabilia every day, pushing it out like pancakes and IHOP. Last but not least, shout out to Blake Anthony, Sports Talk 49. Peter Blake doing his thing. Get them Honey Nut Cheerios. Shout out to Anthony Rahman, who's going to have a show on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The sports legend Al Keck. Rick Hughes holding me down. I don't want to say that we're Daryl Hall and John Oates, but if we are Daryl Hall and John Oates, can I be John Oates? Because I like the hair and the mustache. All right.
All right, Alex Fleming, thanks a lot for joining me here on the Evolution. All right.
All right.
All right, good stuff, buddy. All right, let's go ahead. Rick Hughes, go ahead and promote yourself, and then we'll wrap up the show.
Listen, you can catch me on Facebook at Rick H Online. You can catch me, read my articles from the cheap seats here on Bucs Report, and I'm on Twitter at RHughes Online, and just have a good time. Guys, I write it. The article's called From the Cheap Seats for a reason. There's always a party in the cheap seats. Have fun with it. Enjoy it.
All right, there you go. Rick Hughes, one of our newest writers from the cheap seats on Bucs Report. Thanks a lot for your time.
Good night.
On the Evolution. All right, there you go. Good stuff there from Rick Hughes. We'll read more comments, and then we'll get out of here. They went 10-6 in 2015 that year, didn't they? Or wait, was it 2016? Brandon Marshall loves Fitz. Ben Cornette actually in 2015. The Jets did go 10-6. Fitzpatrick was their quarterback the majority of the season. Wow, didn't know that. And then Kenny Perryman, Alex and Rick make a good combination. Hope they get back together again soon. We will definitely get them back together soon. Get back with you tomorrow night, starting at 9:00 here live on Bucs Report and all these platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and of course the Landry Football Network, ChrisLandryFootball.com on the Chris Landry Twitch channel. So thank you very much to Chris Landry, former scout. Of course, thanks to Mr. Joshua Cole Allen, Rick Hughes, and of course, Alex Fleming, the flamethrower himself. So definitely keep on tuning in to here to Bucs Report and of course the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, and do three things for me on this early Thursday morning, almost Thursday morning. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Have a great night. You're now in the Sports Web, a sports talk show for the hardcore fan. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense.
At Life's a Beach Realty, we're all about life on the beach. Stunning Panama City Beach and one of the most beautiful properties on the Gulf Coast, Shores of Panama. Radiant, elegant, and spectacular. Steps away from white sugar sand. Every room overlooks the turquoise of the Gulf of Mexico. Come in for your tour today. Life's a Beach Realty is your gateway to Shores of Panama, the shores, and a whole lot more.